A girl must marry a man who is a war fanatic, but she surprisingly becomes the family's cherished treasure after the wedding. The Grand Duke gives her an abundance of his affection. I simply cannot live without you. As two young children hold on to her on both sides, now she has no way to ever escape. What will she do? It was 10 years in the past. The emperor set up a marriage for a duke's daughter and a war hero. But her father shared this news only with Elsa. In the month just before the wedding, she was told the Grand Duke was a cruel war fanatic who had no mercy on the battlefield. He would freeze anyone into an ice sculpture if they disagreed with him. Rumors even said he killed his own brother to get the position of family head. Being forced to marry a person who was so dangerous. Even when she was completely against the idea, her family would not listen to her at all because they cared more about Karen's birthday than about her marriage. After all, she was not important to them from the very beginning. When she was a child with a high fever of 39 degrees, everyone inside the mansion was busy with Karen's birthday party preparations. Her little face, flushed from the fever, could only make a weak smile. She held her tears back and went quietly back to her own bedroom, tucking herself in bed, and only dared to cry softly under the covers. The Duke had never given her a birthday party because that day was also the anniversary of when the former Duchess died. Ever since she was born, she had always stayed quietly in corners, slowly living her life all alone, like she was playing a game of not bothering the other people. After her father married for a second time, Karen was born a year later. The constant sarcastic remarks from the mother and daughter, and their never-ending ridicule and mockery, had been a normal part of life for Elsa for a long time, until this very day she was finally getting married. As soon as she stepped down from the carriage, she made the butler feel chills on his skin in the freezing -80-degree temperature. She arrived wearing only slippers, and she looked so very delicate. She had not even entered when two kids came to give her a warning. They also said they were the Grand Duke's fiancés. The two brothers were completely shocked. They didn't know the Grand Duke was marrying, and even if he was, it would not be someone like you. Elsa's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. Do I appear to be that suspicious? The older brother said she was a liar and then told her to leave. The girl did not expect to have this kind of situation upon her arrival. Let us all calm down to talk. Can you please put that dangerous magic away? Why would a noble duke's daughter show fear of magic? Elsa did not know what to say. I am truly not that familiar with magic, but I am the Grand Duke's fiancée, the daughter of Duke Thornburg. I am truly not telling a lie. By the way, who are the two of you? The brothers were shocked one more time. You don't know who we are? The butler then introduced them. These two are the former Grand Duke's sons, Master Wilbert and Master Hugh. Elsa had finally come to understand the Grand Duke adopted his nephews, so she was these children's new stepmother. Magic suddenly grazed past her face. The brothers knew they had made a mistake. Blood slowly started to show on Elsa's face, and before she was able to react, she felt a sudden sharp pain. This was all too exciting. But why did the two children look more afraid than her? It was just a single look. It scared Hugh so much he got hiccups, and he quickly grabbed onto his brother's armpit. Wilbert right away protected his younger brother. Elsa soon understood. The older brother was guarded to protect his younger brother. Even while he was scared, he stood before his brother, which made her think of her own childhood helplessness. She came closer and then crouched down. I am sorry. Did I frighten you? This is the first time we are meeting. My name is Elsa. Can you please tell me your names? Hugh's crying stopped, and he was not afraid any longer, as the two of them stared directly at each other. My name is Wilbert, and this here is my younger brother Hugh. Elsa gave a bright smile. Please give me your guidance. He reached out his hand, and his small hand pointed at the wound on her face. Elsa smiled while wiping the blood away. Do not worry, it is only a scrape. It will heal very quickly. Wilbert suddenly took her hand and shouted, No! She was very stunned. The boy knew he was rude. He blushed, and then quietly said he was sorry, and then he asked Elsa to please come inside. I will help you treat your wound. The girl who was feeling warm just a second ago, then had her heart sink down in the next moment. The bandaging was a little bit too much. The young master's mother had a very weak body, and she would often stay in bed for only minor injuries. Please try to understand. The marriage between you should have been told to the young masters after the Grand Duke came back, but because the expedition took much longer than we had expected, we got a message saying you would visit during the new year, but her own family had pushed her to marry into the Grand Duke's house before the year was over. His Grace cares very much for the two young masters. But war is not predictable, and the border is still unstable. Before, the old master and mistress were here, but recently, because of health problems, they went to a cold villa to recover. This was not at all like the rumors that Elsa had heard when she was in the capital. The girl all of a sudden had a new idea, and she went quickly to find the children. From this day on, we will be a family. Wilbert told her she did not have to please them. She could just do whatever she wanted. Hugh secretly took a peek out, and then he quickly hid when she looked his way. They were just as cold as she had thought they would be. But she was not going to give up that easily. But many days had passed, and even though she was very tired, she was not able to get any closer. They even sat far from her during their meals. It was very clear they were avoiding her. It looked like she would need to change her plan. Step 1 was to find out what they like. Wilbert was a very picky eater, and though Hugh ate all foods, he never showed what he liked best. After she asked some people, the children did not seem to have any close friends, and nobody there knew what things they liked. It seemed they were guarded not just from her, but they were also guarded from everyone else. Elsa could understand their feelings very well. Suddenly, a large, shadowy man was standing right behind her. All of the servants that were in this house were so strong, they were likely similar to their master. The man was the head chef of this house. Master Wilbert really used to love carrot cake, but since Lady Clara died, the young master refuses to eat it now. That day, Elsa came to bother them, just like she usually did. Wilbert impatiently told her to go away. I have nothing that I want to say to you. When she saw his very pale face, Elsa reached out her hand with concern. You are still very young. Do not work yourself too hard. But he roughly slapped her hand away. Go away! Do not interfere with me. I am the next Grand Duke. Studying hard is a normal thing to do. What right does a naive lady who cannot even use any magic have to tell me what to do? After he said this, Elsa turned and then she closed the door. The proud older brother huffed just as she expected. That woman was just like all the others, only giving him some superficial compliments. But she unexpectedly came back looking very excited. Just a few moments later, the older brother was startled. It was the carrot cake. Just when he was about to say something that was sharp and mean, the rich smell of the cake floated over. Please try it, even if it is just one small bite. Wilbert was hesitant, but he could not resist it in the end. He took one small bite, and with his proud little face, Elsa watched him with great amusement. Then the boy began to eat the next piece of cake, putting one piece after another piece into his mouth. Even though he was embarrassed, he could not resist the flavor of that cake. It looks like you really do enjoy it. The older brother denied it right away. He just thought it tasted somewhat familiar. Elsa let out a soft laugh. The cake I just gave you was baked using the method from the Les region. The boy did not know why until he was told that is Lady Clara's hometown. The older brother became gentle right away. When Elsa asked if she had made the taste from his memories, she was unexpectedly told no. Mother's cakes were always very dry, and they had a bitter flavor. They were not ever this delicious. She had not ever cooked before, but to get me to eat right, she worked very hard to learn to make cakes for me. Elsa softly gave him comfort. I believe she must have loved Master Wilbert a great deal. The older brother started to tremble with his anger. Why does yours taste so delicious? She was a little embarrassed by his compliment. Maybe it is because winter carrots are sweeter. That is strange. You are clearly a duke's daughter who cannot use magic. Yet you know recipes from the border regions. Elsa thought it was not right to tell a child it is from her past life experiences. Hearing that might make you feel sad. Do not talk to me like a child. I will be the next Grand Duke. For just a moment, Elsa's happy expression faded. My mother passed away when I was born, so I do not have memories of her. The one who stayed with me in my mother's place was my mother's childhood housekeeper. Marcia had told me so many stories about my mother's past, so I really wanted to understand the things my mother liked, researching cultures and recipes from all over the world. It was also for this reason. That is the way I learned this carrot cake recipe. The older brother did not get it. Couldn't you have just had the servants make these kinds of things? Elsa forced a cheerful smile and patted herself. Everyone has their own jobs that they need to do. I cannot bother them just because of my own selfishness. There are not any tutors for me at home, and I have no classes, so I am very free. The older brother was exactly right. You are probably being ignored by your own family, but I still am not able to recreate the taste from your memories. I am sorry. The young boy finally let his guard down. Do not say you are sorry. Make cakes for me often from now on. Elsa was very charmed by his cuteness. The older brother stubbornly said, It is not because I want to eat them. I want my brother to have a chance to try them too. The two of them had finally become a bit closer. But then unexpectedly, on the next day, the boy was avoiding her even more than before. Before she was able to finish her greeting, the older brother just walked right past her. No matter how she attempted to start a conversation after that, the older brother would run away from the area very quickly. Elsa had no choice but to accept the reality. Since things have gotten to this point, she should just be honest and stay put. When she was passing the study, she heard harsh scolding from the hallway. Looking in through the door crack, she saw Master Hugh being criticized by a teacher for not making any progress. And Hugh was much too scared to say anything at all. But the teacher kept on pressuring him. You will not even admit to your own mistakes. Your future is really very worrying. You are a waste who cannot even speak the right way. If you keep on being like this, you will only bring shame to the Grand Duke's family. Elsa was extremely angry, but she held herself back. She was only an outsider in this house. Going in would just make the situation worse. The teacher suddenly took the doll from his arms. He watched with tears in his eyes as the teacher opened the window and then threw it outside. Helplessness and a feeling of despair nearly took over his mind. She could not just stand there and watch any longer. You are the one who needs to reflect. This does not have to do with parents or talent. He is only 5 years old. Being unable to express his feelings correctly or to use magic in an excellent way is completely normal. And you, who has pushed this child to feel despair, are admitting to your own incompetence. We do not have a need for such incompetent teachers in our home. Please leave this house right away. The man asked her who she was and then told her to stop getting involved. Elsa gave the doll to Hugh. I am the Grand Duke's wife and I am the mother of these 2 children. Just at that moment, the door opened and all 3 of them looked behind them. It was the Grand Duke himself, Elsa. She was frozen in place and could not recover from her shock for a very long time. The man then questioned, Who are you? The teacher frantically began to introduce himself. Not you. I am asking her. Elsa was not sure if she should tell the truth. But did the Grand Duke even know about their marriage? But she could not avoid answering his question either. She quickly raised up her hand. Good day, Your Grace. My name is Elsa. The man did not say anything. He just stared right at her. The room was completely silent. Luckily, Wilbert came in just in time. You have come back. He hummed a reply to him. Then he turned back around and kept questioning the girl. And then what? Elsa was at a loss and gave a pleading look to Wilbert for some help. But then the older brother blushed and he actually turned his face away. Elsa just stood there feeling very awkward. This was not good at all. She was being seen as completely suspicious. The 2 of them were at a standstill. What was she supposed to do? She looked over at Hugh, and his small body would not stop trembling. Tears were starting to form in his eyes. Elsa then made up her mind. It is nice to meet you. I am Elsa, the daughter of Duke Thornburg. I have come here to visit as Your Grace's wife in the future. I called myself your wife just now because it was an emergency situation. Please forgive my actions. That gentleman from just now was about to physically punish Master Hugh. The older brother became extremely angry after he heard this, and the Grand Duke also frowned. Not only did the man refuse to admit it, but he also slandered the girl by calling her a liar. This woman is the incompetent daughter known across the empire, who has never received a proper noble education. The man looked at her without moving, and then he walked right past her. Even in this place, no one was willing to believe what she said. But unexpectedly, the Grand Duke crouched down in front of Hugh. Can you tell me what really happened here? He was much too scared to speak. Which one of them was lying? He held the doll very tightly, found his courage, and pointed with a trembling hand at that man. Elsa was completely stunned. The man completely lost all of his composure, but he still tried to make up some excuses. In just a moment, the man was frozen into a solid ice sculpture, and the whole room was then covered with powerful ice magic. The Grand Duke coldly asked. And then? Wilbert then created some ice crystals. What is wrong? Do you want to leave? Should I help you? The man was too afraid to speak. In the next second, he was grabbed very roughly by the Grand Duke. Get out of here. Do not let me see your face again. The man ran away in complete disgrace. Elsa had finally seen it for herself. This was the Grand Duke who froze everyone into ice sculptures, no matter if they were a friend or foe. It was too terrifying. Then the Grand Duke bowed his head down to apologize to her. Let us handle all the formal things first. The two of them had a wedding that was lightning fast. Just at the moment she pushed the door open, the room inside was very warm and cozy. The bride was then lifted up by magic, flying over all the guests to the groom's side. She did not ever expect to one day look down on a tall man from high above. The groom looked at her with no expression, and then extended his hand out to her. Those wide, scarred hands felt very reassuring for some reason. Elsa came down gracefully from the air. Under the priest's reading, the two of them swore an oath before the bright sun that they would become husband and wife. After the ceremony was over, she needed to have a good conversation with the Grand Duke. She did not completely understand the wedding night rituals. The book just said to leave it all to her husband. She would cross that bridge when she got to it. But it was not meant to be this direct. How did she find herself pinning him down? The man, who seemed to be a cold-blooded and ruthless war maniac, was in fact a pure and innocent little rabbit. Just as she was pinning down her innocent new husband, the sons suddenly burst into the room. "What are you two doing in here?" The couple separated from each other very quickly. The older brother tilted his head, looking confused, and then he suddenly had a great idea. He took hold of Elsa's arm. "Are you not going to sleep with us tonight?" The girl was completely and totally stunned. What was going on right now? The man was also feeling very bewildered. Then the older brother started to put on an act. "When the Grand Duke was not at home, Lady Elsa would always stay with me," he shyly said, "and Hugh while sleeping together." He secretly looked behind him, sending signals to his brother Hugh, who instantly understood and got the message. He ran to Elsa and then hugged her very tightly, rubbing his shy little head on her. Elsa's heart started to flutter from all the cuteness, and the man was also very surprised by this. Then the older brother stiffly told a lie. He cried and said he could not sleep if Elsa was not there. Hugh started to whimper right away. "So, Grand Duke, please do not make Elsa leave, just for Hugh's sake." Hugh quickly began to nod his head. Only then did Elsa get it. The brothers believed they were fighting, and that the Grand Duke was going to send her away. Elsa took a quick look at Rolf. That was the first time that she had seen the man's eyes were no longer cold. "I did not think that they would become so close. It has been a very long time since I have seen the children look this happy." "All right then. For tonight, the four of us are all going to sleep together." All three of them were instantly scared into ice sculptures. Why did things turn out like this? Just a few moments before, she had been waiting obediently for the Grand Duke. The man then opened up the bedroom door. What was going to happen had now arrived. Elsa was so very nervous that her whole body became rigid. "I would appreciate it if you could tell me more." But the man just told her not to worry. He would not do anything at all. "I married you because of His Majesty's order, and will do my best to fulfill my duties as your husband. I will respect your position, as my wife and I will guarantee your right to live a free life." Elsa had thought that he would be very angry about this arranged marriage, and she had prepared for a big storm. But he was actually so much of a gentleman. Rolf told her clearly that he currently does not have any plans to have children. Elsa smiled when she heard this. "I understand. The Grand Duke's house already has Master Wilbert and Master Hugh. It is not only because of the two children. If you are hoping that I will have romantic feelings for you, I am sorry, I cannot do that for you. That is how things are. Please excuse me." Then the man turned around to leave. Speaking to her so bluntly was truly very hurtful. "Wait a minute." She got up to block the man's path. "Do you treat the children with that same kind of attitude?" Rolf was left without any words to say. "Do you also treat the children with that same work-like attitude?" "I think that I have worked very hard to fulfill all of my duties as a father." "No. It is exactly because of this that incompetent tutors can take advantage." The man was not able to refute her at all, and could only bow his head and be silent. She was not trying to deny the Grand Duke's approach completely. It was just that the current situation, with no adults to depend on and no close friends, was too difficult for the children. Do you have any idea what is most important when you are raising children? Not only spiritual ideas like love and responsibility, but also enough physical strength, time, and a proper environment? Even if you do not have any feelings for me, I am still the wife of the Grand Duke. She suddenly came much closer to him. So I am begging you to entrust the children into my care. The man then grabbed her by the shoulders. Sweet, but there was no place to retreat behind them, and the two of them fell down together. And that is how the opening scene happened. Elsa felt deep regret for being so very rash. The older brother thought that he had misheard, and asked his father to confirm it one more time. After he received a positive reply, the mother and son both broke out in cold sweats. The two of them were sizing each other up. The woman was a duke's daughter, who had been sent there by the emperor. Until he was sure of her intentions, he could not just let the children be alone with her. Is there a problem with 4 people all sleeping together? Elsa then looked down at Hugh, and she noticed Hugh was nodding off again and again. She answered him decisively, "There is no problem at all." She gently gave her support to Hugh. "Let us all go to sleep together." Hugh held his doll and then nodded his head happily. So the 4 of them covered up with blankets, with the older brother on her right and Hugh sleeping on her left. It looks like he is very tired. He fell asleep almost right away. The only thing that was making her feel uncomfortable was that the man had been staring at her since some time ago. This is so awkward. The older brother mumbled something in his sleep, and Elsa leaned closer to listen. "Do not send her away from here." Both the husband and wife were startled at the exact same time. Elsa felt very touched by his words. The rebellious older brother was actually worried about her. The man also thought it was incredible. "I cannot believe that the difficult Wilbert cares about you so much." Elsa immediately replied to him, "Wilbert is not difficult at all. He is trying desperately to grow up so he will not trouble you. For you to say something like that, could it be?" Before she could finish her sentence, the man became angry. "Are you trying to say that I want to drive Wilbert away?" Seeing the man's reaction, Elsa instantly thought that it all made sense. No wonder why the older brother was feeling so insecure. But the man just turned over and lay there quietly without saying another word. Elsa was trembling with a lot of fear. He had such cold eyes. He must have also been forced into this marriage by the imperial decree, carrying a burden just like her. Of course, he would not be feeling happy. Back at the time when Rolf had just returned victorious from the war, the emperor informed him that he had a marriage partner. Then he sent him off to the neighboring country's border. He looked over at Elsa, then sat up and stared for a very long time. And then he reached out his hand, placing it right at her neck. As the pressure from his hand slowly started to increase, Elsa could hardly breathe at all. She did not have any sense of caution whatsoever. He could easily break her neck with just a little bit more force. Hugh, who was in his sweet dreams, hummed very softly, and only then did the man finally let her go. Watching as Hugh nestled into the girl's arms, and Wilbert was sleeping so peacefully on his other side, the man was lost in his deep thoughts. He was not a good father to them. That was a fact he could not deny. But being a Grand Duke, what else was he able to do? Wilbert had been born into a very loving family, and his brother and sister-in-law were some of the few family members who had given Rolf some warmth. Waking up in the early morning, Elsa felt completely and totally exhausted. Had she not gotten any sleep at all? She swayed a bit as she got up, and then suddenly sneezed. Wearing such little clothing would certainly cause you to get a cold, so she went to change her clothes. Suddenly, someone inside the room called out Elsa's name. She hurried to go back, and she happened to run right into the older brother, who was anxiously trying to find her. She bounced back from him like a drop of water. The little couple then looked at each other, and the man's expression became gentle right away. "Good morning to you, my lady." The efforts of the brothers had not been for nothing after all. Elsa breathed out a sigh of relief. Finally, she did not have to die. In the very next second, her stomach growled very loudly. The family of 4 all looked at each other. It was not the older brother or Elsa, so all 3 of them looked over at Hugh, who had not said a word. Hugh embarrassingly put his hands over his stomach. Elsa quickly tried to cover for him. "It must have been me. I am so very hungry." "Yes. Let us all have breakfast first." After they had finished eating, Rolf then spoke up. "Let us make some rules." Elsa agreed with him. "We have to discuss Master Wilbert's picky eating later on. First, let's talk about our living arrangements." Halfway through his sentence, Elsa suddenly let out a sneeze. The butler thoughtfully came over with a scarf. Rolf then suggested, "Let us begin with clothing in our daily life." The older brother made the decision to go with her, and Hugh quickly raised up his hand too. It was maybe because of their cultural differences. Elsa's sense of fashion was not very good. They had no clue what she was thinking. Elsa quickly started to explain. "Those were my own preferences. They were all made by my stepmother with famous designers in the capital. The subtle expressions on the brothers' faces said it all. In the end, they all made the decision to go shopping together. Elsa changed her clothes into a red dress, and Hugh's eyes lit up right away when he saw her. The older brother muttered something quietly. She's actually quite pretty when she is dressed up the right way. Elsa was very surprised. Are you giving me a compliment? The proud older brother got defensive right away. The clothes make the person. Rolf also said that it looked good on her. In that case, let us pick out several more of them. Elsa was totally and completely stunned. She changed into an elegant and dignified court dress, and then into cute, fresh winter clothes, where the clothes they bought piled up like they were mountains. Even if she wore different outfits every day, she could not finish them all in just one winter. But the man just could not be stopped. Hugh pulled on her sleeve, and she turned to look. My goodness gracious! There was still a full and long row. The older brother called for her to look over here. There were another 2 long rows. Wearing these will make you a very graceful and elegant lady. The competition for her favor was just about to start, but, luckily, Rolf stepped in. You two should not make things too difficult for her. The brothers had no choice but to give up, and Elsa breathed a sigh of relief. Just buy all of these 2 for her. There is no need to fight over them. Elsa was scared into having tiny little eyes. The brothers then hit it off right away, just when she was about to say that it was being wasteful. Rolf brought up the first rule. Acknowledge Elsa as the Grand Duke's wife, and make efforts to communicate with and to respect her opinions. But Elsa should also fulfill all of her responsibilities as the Grand Duke's wife. When I am not at home, you will be the one to manage household affairs. You will also have chances to go to social events. Please handle them well for me. Elsa had to accept his terms. The man thought that she was strange. Her attitude about money was not like a duke's daughter at all, and her emotions were surprisingly very easy to read. Everything about her was rather unconventional. Elsa tilted her head in some confusion. What is the matter with you? Suddenly making some eye contact, he pretended to be calm and looked away from her. It is nothing. Let us go look at some hats next. After trying on one outfit after another, the 4 of them practically took over the entire shopping district, shopping until it was night before they went home. But as soon as they had opened the door, they ran into a visitor who was not welcome. You are so very slow, my dear sister. Then she complained all on her own. Your taste in things is still the same. Seeing something that looked nice, she reached out her hand to grab it. Elsa blocked her with her own hand. Karen, do not touch things without asking. Why should I not? Elsa then warned her. These are all gifts that the Grand Duke gave to me. It is different from when you are at home. Also, you hate me so very much. You came all this way to see me. What do you want? The younger sister kept on playing dumb. I was worried about you, so I just came to see how you were doing. I heard that the Grand Duke ignored you for a whole month. It is the talk of the entire capital city. That was only a communication mistake. Karen smiled in a provocative way. By the way, have you been taking your magic enhancement potions on time? After Elsa's engagement to the Grand Duke, her family had made her take them, but they did not ever have any effect. Karen smiled in a mocking way. You need to work a lot harder. If you keep on being a burden, you will just get thrown out. How very strange. Did you come all this way just so you could mock me? Karen put on her fake saintly act once again. I want to borrow some money from you. Elsa told her that she should ask their father, but she then got angry. Your lovely little sister is asking you for something. Just lend it to me obediently right now. The jewelry that she had just bought was now scattered all over the floor. Hey, I am in a lot of trouble right now. Help me out, dear sister. We are family, are we not? She snorted in a cold way. Family? That is right. We are family. She had indeed once tried very hard to become a family with them, but they had never treated her as if she were family. The day right before the ball, Karen had opened her closet without asking for permission, and she took out the dress that her mother had left for her. Even when she was very unwilling, her stepmother took it from her by force. This belongs to the Thornburg Duke's house. From that moment on, Elsa saw clearly Karen's other, hidden face. So that means I can wear this dress too. With her own mother backing her up, Karen left, looking triumphant, leaving behind just one last sentence. Karen is her only and beloved daughter. The sister, who had not ever treated her like she was family now, came to ask her for 10 gold coins. No. Karen then laughed. You do not even have the right to freely spend 10 of your gold coins. Then how about 5? When she saw the jewelry on the ground, she bent down to pick it up. I will just use this then. Elsa was very firm. Do not touch it. Karen was startled at first. Then she arrogantly stepped right on the necklace. Then, my dear sister, hurry up and pick it up for me. She then increased the pressure on it, and when she saw Elsa was not moving, she laughed even more wildly. Hey, will you not pick it up for me? This completely made Elsa angry, and she walked right toward Karen and slapped her hard across the face. Her face quickly began to swell up with pain. You seem to be unable to understand what I am saying. This is special jewelry the Grand Duke prepared for me as his wife. And you ignored my warning, and then touched it carelessly. How very rude. Karen covered her face with tears. You really believe you are the Grand Duke's wife now, when you are clearly just a useless and decorative face? Elsa admitted it. That is right. I am indeed not very good at using my magic, and I lack both knowledge and experience. But unlike you, Olive, the people who live in this house respect me, and they entrusted me with educating the adopted sons. Since this task was entrusted to me, I should live up to all their expectations and do my absolute best, so I am not able to lend any money to you, who insults the Grand Duke's house. Karen was completely and utterly humiliated. Elsa slowly walked over to the door, and then she rang the bell, instructing to move her luggage to the guest room that was in the servants' quarters. Seeing Karen still making her unreasonable demands, she looked at her with disdain. Do you want to go and sleep on the streets? The defeated Karen finally gave in, and she angrily slammed the door as she was leaving. Elsa picked up the jewelry that was on the floor. Family. She did not know if they had truly accepted her as one of them. The warm and happy scenes from during the day floated through her mind, and she then smiled very warmly. Just keep going. Just at that moment the door opened, and Hugh cautiously peeked his little head out. To protect his new family, the mute son spoke for the first time, with a gentle wave of his hand. He instantly froze the entire city around them. All of the people who bullied his mother were now trapped inside of silver-blue cages when he was not able to speak. Yet he was only able to gesture with his small hands, but Elsa had always understood him right away. You can't find your doll? He then nodded his head. He used his body language to describe what had happened. Seeing that Elsa was looking very confused, Hugh broke out in an anxious sweat. He then pointed to the pile of gifts on the carriage ride back home. He was still very sleepy. It probably got mixed in with all of my luggage. So then? Hugh nodded his head excitedly. I see. Let us look for it together then. After they opened up everything, they were still not able to find it. They looked all over the entire mansion with the servants, not even looking under the tables. Even when it was night, they still had not found the doll. Elsa looked out through the window. It was snowing very heavily outside. Seeing her start to shiver, Hugh then had a flash of inspiration. He ran off, then he came back carrying a fluffy warm coat, draping it right over Elsa and putting a warm hat on her head. Elsa was very deeply moved. Master Hugh, thank you so much. She pulled Hugh into a warm embrace. Hugh also blushed in a shy way, though she had seen from their first meeting that Master Hugh was different from Master Wilbert. When she observed more closely, they were exactly the same, and they were very considerate. Both of them were smart and warm-hearted children. But why was Master Hugh not able to speak? What could she possibly do for him? Hugh wriggled around a little bit. Let us find the doll first of all. The two of them went outside. Master Hugh cannot catch a cold, so you should stay right here. She then stepped out into the snow, and with a thump, she slipped and then fell down flat. Hugh quickly ran over to her to brush all the snow off her. Just at that moment, she suddenly saw a little snowman in the snow. I found it. We found it right after we came outside. How very wonderful. But it is all wet now. Hugh picked up his snow ferret doll and then ran, reaching his hand toward the fireplace, and he nearly got burned by the flying sparks. Elsa quickly grabbed Hugh and then pulled him back. That was very close. It almost got completely burned. It is soaked all the way through. If we just leave it alone, the doll might get ruined. He looked so very sad. It must be something that is very important to him. Elsa held out her palm, and warm points of light flowed out from her palm. Thinking that she could do it, starlight scattered all around her body. A warm breath then wafted over them. Elsa carefully began to warm the snow ferret. I can also use some magic, too, even though it is just a little. Hugh opened his little mouth wide with surprise. I had thought my magic power would at least increase a little bit, but it is still exactly the same. But luckily for us, the snow ferret is now back to normal. Hugh happily hugged his snow ferret doll, and then he nuzzled it. That is great. I helped just a little bit. Even though I am a duke's daughter, I am surprisingly very bad at magic. But it is precisely because of this I know how to make my own effort. More of the magic then enveloped Hugh's entire body. She smiled at him very gently. Hugh felt all the warmth, and he looked blissfully happy. It is almost time for dinner. Please keep the doll safe inside your room and do not lose it again. Hugh had barely run very far when he stopped. Then he came pattering right back to her. He stretched out his little hand, gesturing for her to crouch down low. Elsa crouched down with curiosity, and she saw him smile in a shy way. He opened his little mouth wide and gave her a very quick kiss on her cheek. Then he put both his hands behind his back and he grinned at her bashfully. Elsa's heart completely melted at that moment. This was just too unfair. She felt so very happy, like her chest was filled up to the brim. Suddenly, a door creaked open in the distance, and Hugh quickly hid right behind her, but nothing at all appeared. He then poked at Elsa, and he was trembling with fear as he mimicked a scary monster. Elsa comforted him and told him not to be afraid. There were not any monsters. Seeing that he was still feeling scared, Elsa ruffled his hair and then said, "A long time ago, I had always wanted to have a friend to play with. I thought that even if it was a monster, I would want to be friends with it. I stayed up the entire night, and I tried some strange spells too, but I did not ever once see a monster." He looked at her with skepticism. "So it is fine with that." She then turned the door handle. "Do you see?" Hugh and the ferret turned pale with fright. What is the matter? Looking back, her sister had suddenly appeared right behind them. Karen was staring darkly at the two of them. Hugh backed away from her with caution. Elsa hurried to try and explain. "Master Hugh, this person is my sister. She was feeling worried about me, so she came here to check on me." Karen, "Please say hello." But she did not move at all. Instead, she reached her hand out toward Elsa, releasing some rose magic from her palm. The roses started to grow very quickly, and the thorny vines all shot right toward Elsa. Hugh was about to run away, but he was blocked by them. "Do not move at all. What is it that you want?" Karen was completely feeling desperate. "I need some money. Get it ready for me now." "Why?" she screamed as she was breaking down. "It does not concern you in any way at all. You seem to have forgotten that you are just a useless burden. You have been dragging everyone else down, so you should finally be useful to us now." Elsa told her not to act like this when she was in front of the children. Karen laughed with contempt for her. "Even your own real family has abandoned you. What kind of house-playing game are you still playing with them?" Elsa felt a very sharp pain inside her heart. Hugh shook his head with tears welling up in his eyes. It was ridiculous. She indeed was not able to refute it. "That is right. Never mind my mother. Even my father, who shares your blood, does not care about you at all." Hugh, who was choked with his anger, slowly said the word no from his mouth. "The Duke only married you because he did not have the courage to defy the Emperor. No one in this entire world truly needs you. You really should be thanking me." Hugh finally could not hold back his anger anymore, and he roared at the woman. "That is not true at all." He quickly ran over and stood in front of Elsa. "Elsa is my family." No one had ever expected that Master Hugh would actually be able to speak. "If this is what you call your family, then I am also your family. I am in big trouble at this time. Can you please help me?" Hugh shook his head very hard. "You bullied my important family member. You are not my family, and I hate you." Karen smiled with a triumphant look. "I can hear you too." The moment that she struck out at him, Elsa blocked the vines. "How dare you try to harm someone from the Duke's household?" The woman showed her disdain for them. "Who told me that my opponents are a child who can barely speak clearly? And a burden. They can be slaughtered by me at will. Do you have a desire to resist? Can someone who is as useless as you even do that?" Elsa protected Hugh, and she grabbed the thorny vines with her one hand. It is all right. I will not let her touch Master Hugh. Not even one time. He spoke up for me. I am very happy about that. Hugh's eyes were overflowing with his tears. The woman then launched her attack. Then let me give you a taste of some real suffering. In an instant, all of the vines rushed right toward her. Hugh shouted out, "No!" Instantly, the entire room was frozen solid in ice crystals. Only Elsa was left completely unharmed. Karen was trapped in an embarrassing way inside a blue-silver cage. At this moment, the Duke and the eldest son also came rushing over. Hugh gathered up his courage to speak. I can speak very clearly. Then he released some ice crystals into the air, and he replayed the scene that had just happened, using his magic to recreate the events for his father. This person did some bad things to Elsa and me. She is a very bad person. The woman who was trapped in the blue-silver cage roared out angrily, "Do not talk such nonsense." The man then pointed with his finger, instantly sealing Karen's mouth shut. Do not interrupt Hugh while he is speaking. He also warned her cousin. It is painful when other people do not listen to what you say, isn't it? If you become our enemy right now, do you know what your fate is going to be? Karen was still struggling and not being honest. Make any more noise, and I will seal up your nose too. Seeing this, she then finally became obedient after he arrested her. The man looked over at Hugh. Well done, son. That was the first time that his father had ever praised him. Elsa also bent down to give him thanks. Thank you so much for saving me. Also, that is just wonderful. She gently hugged Hugh. Very tight. You can finally speak out loud now. Hugh was being hugged so tightly that he could barely breathe. The older brother quickly pulled her away. Do not bring that ugly face of yours close to Hugh. Brother was also just as excited. Hugh, you are very handsome right now. Whether it is being able to speak or using your magic to protect Elsa, both of those are things to be proud of. Hugh, having gotten his family's approval, was deeply moved, and despite his unclear pronunciation, the words "thank you" could still be clearly heard. That long-missed voice made the older brother unable to stop his great joy. Elsa watched this heartwarming scene. This is really so wonderful. The servant was crying while thanking the lady when she was organizing all the things she had bought. She found out Master Hugh was missing. Just when she was about to go look for him, she did not expect that such a thing like this would happen. It is all thanks to you, madam. The master must be very happy too. Elsa stole a quick glance at Rolf, but she saw that his face was heavy with worry. How should I put it? Instead of happy? He seemed to be more burdened by it. Suddenly he began to walk toward her with very big strides, and he bowed down deeply. Thank you so much. Elsa quickly waved her hands in front of her. It is nothing at all. I did not really do that much either, but I did frighten him. That is right. You indeed did not do very much. But you were also frightened by it, were you not? Thank you for protecting my son while you were feeling afraid. Then he took Elsa's hand in his, using his healing magic on the scar that was in her palm. Thanks to you, I was able to hear Hugh's voice again. After such a long time, that nostalgic and warm voice of his. It turned out that he was actually happy. Not because Master Hugh could use magic to tell what happened. From this point of view, the Grand Duke was more like Master Wilbert and Master Hugh's real father. Then what did that expression on his face from earlier mean? At this moment, the sound of a growling stomach was heard once again. The three of them looked over at Hugh at the same time. He shyly covered up his mouth. I am feeling hungry. Rolf spoke in a gentle voice, saying that they had not eaten dinner yet, and that they should go now. Even though Hugh was a little shy, he ate much more than he usually did. It was possible that he had trouble expressing himself before, which made him act so politely. As Elsa was preparing to return to her room, she encountered Wilbert by the doorway. She awkwardly moved past him and said that he should not feel forced to use formal titles like lady. Wilbert then said that he would like to talk with Elsa about Hugh. Elsa asked what the matter was. Wilbert replied that Hugh frequently has nightmares and appears to have trouble with sleeping. He added that when the three of them all sleep in the same room, he sleeps very soundly. Wilbert continued, suggesting that perhaps when Hugh is with Elsa, he feels much more comfortable. He then asked if it would be possible for her to sleep with him. Elsa hugged Wilbert, saying she understood and thanked him for trusting her with this. Inside his room, Hugh was sitting down, hugging his knees as if in a daze. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the room's door. Hugh quickly got up from his bed. When he saw that it was Elsa, he moved to greet her instinctively. After he came to his senses, he was not sure what he should say. Elsa asked Master Hugh if he was sure that he had fully recovered from his illness yet. She then asked Master Hugh if he would like for them to sleep together in the same room that night. He asked why. Elsa thought to herself that she had not thought of a good reason. She knew if she said that Wilbert had asked her to come, it would be too socially awkward. She said that without Master Hugh, she could not fall asleep and that she would cry. The moment tears appeared in her eyes, Hugh was shocked and stood as still as a doll. Then Elsa quickly ran to the door. She pulled open the handle and said that Master Wilbert would cry too. Wilbert was caught by surprise and exposed just when he was going to deny it. He met Hugh's hopeful eyes, and he embarrassingly lowered his head to admit that perhaps he would also cry without Hugh. He then suggested that all three of them sleep together in there. Wilbert secretly glanced over to see his younger brother's reaction. In reality, Hugh understood it all in his heart. He nodded with happiness and emotion. And so, the three of them all lay down together in a single row. Even though they were successfully sleeping together, she wondered how she could ask about why Hugh could not sleep. The feeling of awkwardness in the room continued for a while. Elsa wondered what she was even thinking about. She noticed that Hugh was staring directly at her with his eyes wide open, and his small, pink face was glowing with a very happy smile. He then turned his head to smile at Wilbert as well. Elsa thought that he was so cute, loving him. She hugged Hugh tightly and wondered aloud why Master Hugh was this cute. Elsa asked Master Wilbert if Hugh had always been this way since he was a baby. Wilbert answered her directly that of course he had. He then sat up with a very serious look, shouting that Hugh has been his extremely cute little brother since he was born. After that, he quickly ran and jumped down from the bed, pulling out 6 very thick photo albums and opening one to a specific page. He said that this was Hugh's first time crawling using magic, and told her to look at his pouty baby cheeks and those big watery eyes. Wilbert said he really wanted to pinch his cheeks. He pointed out a picture from when Hugh first started to walk. He showed pictures of him eating a sweet strawberry, with honey, and sleeping. There was a whole stack of photos. As soon as Wilbert started talking about these memories, he became very expressive and talkative. Suddenly, Wilbert turned to a photograph from when Hugh was a newborn. He explained that no matter how much Hugh cried, as soon as their father, Lord Bert, held him, he would fall asleep right away. As they spoke of this, Hugh strangely began to shed tears, sniffling with each breath he took. He spoke with guilt, saying he was so sorry, and that it was all his fault that their mother and father had died. Hugh said he was sorry, and covered his mouth with his hands, trying to stop the crying. Wilbert felt a terrible feeling inside and asked Hugh if he had really always thought that it was his fault. Hugh explained it was because after his birth, he was a very willful child. Wilbert asked who had said that to him, determined to find out who this person was. Hugh's tears could not be held back any longer. He insisted that it was his fault, and that was why he had to apologize. He added that he felt scared and found that he was not able to speak. Elsa took his hand gently and asked Master Hugh if he was afraid that other people would become angry with him. Hugh immediately shook his head, saying he would be hated. Wilbert said bluntly not to worry about things like that. He told Hugh that he did nothing wrong, and that their mother's body was just weak, that is all. Wilbert said that their mother was always so very happy about Hugh's birth, and she even made a doll with a happy look on its face. He added that he also did not understand the feelings that their uncle Rolf has about this. He declared that even if Rolf blames Hugh for it, he would absolutely not allow that to happen. He would always protect his brother. Hugh was stunned by this and thought quietly for a moment. He then made up his mind. He asked Brother Wilbert if he could please come with him when he went to apologize. The three of them all cried together. Wilbert gave him a very big hug, saying of course he would, because he is Hugh's big brother and loves him the most. Hugh happily cried, hugging Wilbert tightly and burying his face in his shoulder while watching the scene. Elsa's nose also turned red because she was crying with them. On the next day, the three of them sat together in a straight line. As soon as Rolf entered the room, the two brothers stood up and seriously said good morning. Wilbert announced that before they ate breakfast, Hugh and he had something important to say, and asked Rolf to please listen to them. Rolf stared at the two brothers. He had been waiting for this day to finally arrive. Just because Hugh cried when he was young, the Emperor had his father, Duke Thornburg, executed. Hugh apologized to his uncle Rolf as a way to atone, saying he was sorry. He said that it was his fault their father had not returned because a long time ago they were called to the palace, and he had cried there. He believed it was all his fault what happened to their father and even to his brother. Just then, a magical phantom suddenly appeared right behind him. As Hugh subconsciously used his magic to show the past scene, the Emperor threatened him to never open his mouth again. The Emperor had said it was all Hugh's fault, and that his father was not coming back. He threatened that if Hugh said one more word, the next time he would make his brother disappear also. The young boy could not stop trembling from fear, repeating that it was all his fault. After coming back to his senses, he quickly covered his mouth. This terrible nightmare had been repeating in his mind for 4 entire years. However, Rolf was completely certain, telling Hugh it was not like that. He bent down to comfort Hugh, and he gently wiped away the tears from his face, saying that Hugh must have been in a great deal of pain. Rolf apologized for not noticing his suffering, and told him that he did not need to blame himself for this. Wilbert gripped his hand tightly. The brothers shared a smile. Wilbert agreed that this was not Hugh's fault. Rolf then snapped his fingers and said to look now, as there were no monsters there. The magical illusion disappeared in just an instant inside his palm. Wilbert said that was what they expected from Rolf, adding that he wanted to learn that too. Elsa and Hugh also nodded. Rolf told Elsa that to hope for something like this can be a very painful thing to do. At that moment, Elsa accidentally caught a glimpse of Rolf's face, which was full of self-blame and pain. Just then, Hugh pointed with surprise toward the window. The aurora had just appeared in the sky. The family of 4 quickly ran outside so they could admire the beautiful scenery together. Hugh excitedly ran around and started jumping in the fresh snow. Elsa remarked that they were under God's protection. She felt that seeing this right now, being able to view such beauty, was truly a blessing from God. Elsa looked up toward the sky and said it must be because someone had made up and that God was giving them a reward. Rolf looked at her with a puzzled expression. She turned back to him with a smile. She explained that because misunderstandings were fixed and relationships became deeper, that is what making up means. She remarked that it was a really beautiful sight to see. In the very next second, the ice that was right under her feet suddenly collapsed. The 2 children quickly used their magic to help her. Luckily, she was caught in a steady manner. Rolf said that falling in the snow can be quite dangerous. Elsa's face turned red as she said thank you. Noticing Rolf had not let go for some time, she coughed awkwardly. She then said she was sorry. He had received instructions for his marriage after the new year, but it was delayed by an expedition. It was almost as if they did not want him to meet Elsa at all, which included the entire castle not receiving any news about the arrangement. Elsa also came to realize that the Rolf in front of her was totally different from the war-obsessed image described in the Empire's rumors. Just a moment ago, the Emperor's tone of voice clearly carried malice toward him, but thankfully the misunderstanding had been resolved. She thought that it looked like she needed to learn more about the Emperor's intentions for this marriage. Rolf suggested that they continue talking about this topic again later that night. Elsa asked why that was. She explained it was because, before Hugh's stomach started to growl, they all must eat their breakfast. Rolf watched the 3 of them as they were playing. Unexpectedly, the 3 of them suddenly turned around and called for Rolf to come quickly too. Rolf was completely stunned. He then smiled so gently for the very first time and said all right. His eyes could not seem to move away from her very bright smile. They were finally starting to look just like a real family. Within just 1 month of Elsa's arrival at the ducal house, she had been officially recognized by everyone as the Duchess. With help from the headmaid Gaia, everything went smoothly. But the heavy duty of reviewing official documents also fell to her. Feeling depressed was useless, so she could only work very hard to catch up. A small hand suddenly pressed on her face, and the cold made her shiver right away. But she was quickly made warm again by looking at Hugh's gentle smile. A maid rushed into the room explaining that they had just returned from a walk, and Master Hugh had come to find her first. Elsa picked up a few sweets for him. After she heard some coughing sounds, she thoughtfully decided to make some honey tea. The required afternoon tea each day served as etiquette training for her, conversation practice, and training for Hugh. And for the very diligent Wilbert, it also became a time of mandatory rest. Wilbert asked, by the way, how the preparations for the event were going. Elsa had a blank look and asked what event he was talking about. The 2 brothers' jaws dropped at the same time. They said they were talking about Rolf's birthday celebration. Elsa was completely stunned for 10 seconds and asked what they had said. She exclaimed, "Oh my goodness. A birthday celebration. saying she had never even heard about it. So she quickly ran to Rolf's office. Rolf asked her what was the matter. She replied that it was the birthday celebration. Rolf immediately became serious. He stated that this would be her first public appearance since she became the Duchess, so it could not be taken lightly. Elsa asked him nervously if she would have to demonstrate her magic to everyone. Rolf answered her that yes, the host of the event must perform some magic. He added that it was not just her. The children also had to make their public debut, so this banquet was therefore also a test. He explained it was a test to see if her education for the children was good enough. If it was poor or if they behaved badly, her rights as their educator would be taken away from her. Elsa boasted with great confidence that no matter what happened, she would definitely succeed. Rolf asked if she remembered what they had agreed upon. She said yes. He said he was looking forward to her performance and told her to please ask about anything she did not understand. With less than 1 month before the celebration to manage all of these problems, Elsa created a special schedule to follow. Of course, the very capable Wilbert also had his own tasks to complete. There was a very important and challenging problem, which was to cure Wilbert's picky eating habits. Elsa and Hugh worked on this together, coordinating their efforts both inside and outside the home. At the large dining table, they all sat properly. The chefs were lined up neatly. The maids and the butler stood by, ready. Wilbert faced his great challenge. Elsa announced that the first Master Wilbert Overcoming Picky Eating Conference now begins. The head chef spoke first, explaining that for healthy, physical, and mental growth, a balanced diet of meat, vegetables, and potatoes is very important. A maid then came forward and presented the menu. The maid announced that today's lunch includes currant juice, bread, mashed potatoes, and a mushroom casserole. She then summarized the young master's leftovers, stating that the bread was untouched and all of the vegetables were left. Elsa noted they usually study during this time. Wilbert was panicked by the situation. He was also panicked by the way that Hugh ate every single thing. After hearing Elsa's praise, Hugh lifted his chin proudly. The chef continued, stating that winter was only halfway over, and with few stored ingredients, there were only limited things they could prepare. Elsa was just starting to worry about what they would do later. Rolf suddenly spoke from behind her ear, telling her not to worry so much. Elsa's heart began to race wildly inside her chest. Rolf said that he also used to dislike eating vegetables, so he completely understood the situation. He understood the chef's extra care and Wilbert's efforts. He said there was no need to rush and that they should just work on it slowly. Wilbert lowered his head and asked Rolf how he had become able to finally eat his vegetables. Rolf took a very deep breath. He said that 11 years ago he had met a woman who ate cilantro, and that it was very fragrant. He identified her as Lady Clara, Wilbert's mother. He explained that she could not get used to the food there but did not dislike vegetables. She ate them with enjoyment. Just seeing her made the meals he was tired of feel special again. He added that before he even knew what was happening, he could eat them too. He mentioned that, speaking of which, he also ate some very fragrant food this morning as well. Elsa gave a thumbs up to praise the meal, stating the food there was really very delicious. Wilbert had a sudden idea, ordering the maid to bring pickles and side dishes. Then he looked at Elsa and told her to eat some, quickly. Elsa picked up a piece of bread and put it in her mouth, chewing it with a look of pure bliss. Everyone was influenced by her enjoyment. Wilbert started to gather his strength to eat a pickle, opening his mouth very wide, and he put it into his mouth. He took one small bite. Everyone in the room applauded together. Wilbert chewed the pickle with a twisted expression on his face, before gulping down a very large glass of water. He declared that it was not that difficult, as he is the next Duke after all, but he requested that they please cut the pickle much smaller in the future, and it would be better if it was mixed with other things. At that moment, the head chef quietly murmured that Lord Bert also used to hate vegetables. Later, back inside her bedroom, Elsa felt like she was on edge. Lord Bert was the former Duke, and he was Ralph's deceased older brother. She wondered why the head chef would say something like that. She thought he was talking about Lord Bert's affairs like they were his own, but she knew such private matters could not be asked about. And there was also the earlier incident that happened between Hugh and the Emperor. Rolf had prepared materials for her so she could understand the relationship between the ducal house and the Emperor. She needed to start her learning with mythology. She thought that looking through all of the materials would likely take about half a year. Furthermore, as the Duchess, The things she had to consider were not just the birthday party. There were also the major issues with the winter food supply, repairing the magical facilities, and diplomacy with all of the affiliated countries, and the tributes to the Sunrise Empire. There were truly countless matters. So Elsa decided she would tackle it all at once by doing things little by little someday. After thinking about it for a moment, she closed the book. She thought that going through these mysteries one at a time would not work, and that she had to improve her efficiency. So on the next day, she gathered the two children to go with her to learn about the local culture. It is faster to see it for herself. At that moment, Hugh gently tugged on her sleeve, pointing to the snow-covered treetops. He explained that this is the snow-rich tree, and it is also the name of the capital city. He added that when summer finally arrives, the capital city will be covered in the snow-rich white flowers. A woman took a quick glance at them, and their eyes met. The woman was startled. Elsa greeted her in a gentle voice, saying hello. As Elsa walked over to introduce herself as the Duchess, the woman backed away with a wary look, and she suddenly dropped to her knees in a bow, asking Elsa to please forgive her rudeness. Elsa quickly helped the woman get back up. In just an instant, everyone around them bowed to her. Elsa felt as if she were being disliked. Wilbert said bluntly that she could not learn the culture on the street, as they are nobles and lords, different from these people. He said they should go back, because staying out there would only cause trouble. Hearing joyful laughter, Wilbert stopped where he was, watching a group of children playing happily. He could only watch them from a distance. Hugh stretched out his small hand, shyly rubbing his own clothes. Elsa saw that both of them wanted to join in, so she said that they should just join them. She asked if they could include her too, as she had never played in the snow. This action gave the brothers goosebumps. She then rolled up a nice, round snowball, and then she threw it at the group of children. The children just stood there completely stunned. Luckily for them, Elsa's throwing ability was as weak as a chicken. Several of the children just stood there without moving at all. The children started laughing very hard, exclaiming that it was a terrible throw. Elsa's snowball had been too loose to form correctly. The red-haired child patiently began to teach her how to do it, and then delivered a very precise headshot. Seeing Elsa fit in so quickly, the brothers felt admiration for her for the very first time. Wilbert wondered why he had only just realized now that she treats everyone exactly the same. At that moment a snowball flew over, hitting Wilbert squarely on his head. Elsa turned around in a panic. She saw that Wilbert was grinding his teeth with anger. A child called out for Master Wilbert to come and play with them too. Just as he was going to say he was not interested, the children mocked him coldly, saying the young master would never play with them. Wilbert's anger flared up, and he retorted, asking who they were talking about. Just then, two figures appeared behind the group of children, asking what was going on there. Rolf asked them what had happened there to his two children. Seeing that Rolf had arrived, the children all bowed down in fear. Elsa quickly appeared before him, explaining that she had asked them to teach her this game because she really wanted to experience the local culture firsthand. She added that for Wilbert and Hugh, this was also a very good experience for them, right? Wilbert was completely shocked, questioning if it was a snowball fight. Elsa frantically tried to signal to the two brothers with her eyes. The two boys exchanged a glance. Wilbert declared that a snowball fight is a test of strategy in the snow and training that simulates athletic skills. Rolf said he saw. Elsa had a sudden idea and asked why Rolf did not also join them in the game. She suggested that if he personally trained them, she was sure that all the children would be very happy. Elsa thought that yes, they could use this training as an excuse to deepen their father-son relationship, and that this was a great opportunity. Rolf glanced at the guard captain, supposing that he could rest for a while after the guard captain had joined in. Rolf also found that he had a good reason to participate, and so, the Great Snow War officially began. It was Elsa's snow team versus Rolf's wolf team. The rules for the game were as follows. You must capture the other team's flag, or, when the time limit finally comes to an end, the team that has more members remaining on the field wins. Anyone who is hit by a snowball must leave the field. Magic, magical tools, and any weapons are strictly prohibited. Also, some obstacles were set up on the field. Rolf and the guard captain were forbidden from using their dominant hands. Elsa thought that this way, they might actually be able to win. Both teams took their positions. The match began. The children were not able to hit Rolf with their snowballs. Suddenly, with a loud bang, The barrier that was in front of Wilbert was completely destroyed. Rolf was being very serious, stating there is no need to hold back during simulation training. Wilbert's jaw dropped, and he pleaded for them to show some mercy. The great battle was just about to begin. The two of them fought back and forth. Hugh also threw a snowball, not wanting to be outdone by his brother. At the same time, Wilbert began to show his true strength. Rolf remarked that it was pretty impressive. Wilbert replied that of course it was, as he is the next duke. Elsa was happy seeing the children having so much fun together. Elsa was very pleased, thinking that this was great, and that they all seemed completely familiar with each other now. She thought that she had saved up so many snowballs, and now it was all up to them. But in the end, it was too late. The guard captain was already out. Elsa quickly retreated from her position, but was then targeted by Rolf. She asked him in a weak voice if he would not really hit her. Rolf stared at her, not moving at all. She suddenly realized that he is a supposed war maniac. She knew that begging for mercy in simulation training was something he would never agree to. In that case, Elsa immediately grabbed a large pile of snowballs for a wide, indiscriminate attack. Rolf was held back by this particular maneuver for just half a second. Unexpectedly, Elsa suddenly tripped over a rock on the ground, losing her balance and falling down toward the ground. Rolf immediately reached out and caught her, but he slipped and they both fell down. They landed in the snow together. The couple looked at each other, and Elsa's eyes widened. At that exact moment, the referee who was watching the game blew the whistle. The referee announced that Rolf was hit by a snowball and that he must please leave the playing field now. Elsa quickly propped herself up from the ground. She apologized, saying she did not mean to do that. Rolf shook his hair and said it was fine, as those are the rules of the game. Elsa unexpectedly discovered that Rolf seemed to look very different from how he usually did. That was right. His hair was sticking straight up in the air. Suddenly, they heard shouts coming from not too far away. The two of them looked toward the sound. They saw that a child had accidentally fallen into a hole in the ice. Rolf quickly activated his magic. Hugh also summoned a very large snow ferret to help, which started pulling the child safely to the shore. Immediately after that, Wilbert and Elsa quickly skated over to where the child was. Elsa took the young boy's hand, and warmth slowly seeped into it. The boy said thank you. After he opened his eyes, he suddenly saw it was the Duchess. He apologized for making her use magic for someone like him. Elsa replied that this was only natural, wasn't it? Rolf also agreed with her statement, saying of course it was. Rolf stated that the Duke exists for the purpose of protecting all of his people. After they saved the boy who was frozen like an ice sculpture, the child's father excitedly knelt down in gratitude. At a reminder from a neighbor who was standing nearby, he finally learned that the woman standing right before him was the Duchess. Elsa did not care about these formalities. She held the man's hand in return and asked him to please just call her Elsa. She introduced the young man as Wilbert, and the other one as Hugh. When she was introducing Rolf, he straightened his hair. Elsa actively approached him, warming his wet hair to make it fluffy, and she gently brushed the messy hair that was by his ear. But it made all his hair stand up. Elsa quickly tried to fix it by patting it down, not realizing that her husband's ears had turned completely red. She introduced him as their Duke, Rolf, and then whispered an apology. She only wanted to help fix his hair for him, but she added that this curly-haired version of Rolf is also very handsome. He was stunned, his face a bit flushed, and said it was fine as long as it was not strange. The people there had never seen Rolf smile before that moment, and they had always believed that all nobles were cold and heartless. Until this very moment, they finally let down their guard and invited the Duke's family to warm up inside. Wilbert stood in the distance, silently watching the group as they all laughed together. He felt an inexplicable feeling of discomfort that was rising inside his heart. He did not understand for himself why he was having such a strange feeling. He thought that the child was saved and the townspeople were also very happy, but wondered why his own mood was so terrible right now. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind blew the scarf that was on his shoulder, and it flew away with the wind. It coincidentally landed in a way that was covering a small cat's eyes. Before Wilbert could even react to it, the cat started to run wildly without any direction. Wilbert chased after the cat for a long time, going very far away. Finally, when the cat was just spinning around in place, Wilbert grabbed the scarf from off the cat's head. But he was scratched by the cat's sharp paw. As he looked at the now tattered scarf, he saw that the cat had already run very far away by then. He suddenly started to panic. Looking at the unfamiliar area, he stood helplessly. He thought that he must be strong, and he must replace their father and become a great duke. He felt that it was only him, and he was someone who knows nothing at all. A single leaf from a tree drifted down to his feet, and he looked up. It was a snow-rich tree. He thought that this tree gets heavier with each celebration, and that it is a commemorative tree. He thought that it is proof of being loved, that Elsa is not a burden, and that the one who is not needed by anyone is himself. At that moment, golden hair appeared from behind him. Elsa frantically hugged Wilbert, crying and choking out her thanks that he was okay. She said that if something had happened to Master Wilbert, the words in his ears became more and more blurred. Only sentence after sentence of her crying was clear. After a moment of crying, Elsa finally calmed down. Rolf also rushed over to them, and he saw Elsa frantically shaking Wilbert. Elsa cried out to Wilbert, asking how she could possibly calm down. After seeing for himself that Wilbert was fine, Rolf breathed a sigh of relief. Rolf told Elsa that Wilbert already understood her feelings, so she should please try to calm down now. Elsa sniffled, holding back her tears as she said okay. Wilbert lowered his head with an apologetic look. He said he was sorry for troubling her. She replied that it was no trouble at all, just some worry. She told him that if he has something he cannot let go of, he should please tell her. Wilbert hesitated. He was not clear about his own feelings, but he said that this time, for Ralph's birthday celebration, he would like to plant a snow-rich tree. Then Rolf gently placed his hand right on Wilbert's shoulder. Rolf told Wilbert that from now on, they should create many family memories together. This was the first time Rolf had been so open. Wilbert finally let go of his so-called responsibilities, happily agreeing with a yes. At this time, Hugh also flew up to hug his brother and started to cry. The very next day, Elsa finally realized what the problem was. She thought that before she even knew it, she had actually made Master Wilbert feel so insecure. She resolved that to become a good stepmother, she had also made her own efforts to improve, but she felt she was still not doing enough and could not be a duchess like this. She then immediately went to find the head maid, Gaia, sincerely pleading for Gaia to take her on as an apprentice, even knowing that Elsa was of good character and was a very hard worker. From Gaia's perspective, she could not easily trust this lady who was sent by the emperor. Elsa was very determined, asking Gaia to please train her in a strict and thorough manner. Gaia replied that she was just getting ready to ask Rolf if he could increase Elsa's salary. Gaia explained that the financial management of the household is all the lady's work, and that there is no need to get Rolf's approval for everything. She added that, furthermore, they were like Elsa's hands and feet, and would follow her personal judgment on these matters. Elsa was a little bit nervous, and asked if that meant Gaia was willing to be her teacher then. Gaia respectfully bowed her head and told Elsa to please reconsider the current form of her dress first. Elsa was immediately overjoyed, thanking her teacher. Gaia thought that even if Elsa is sincerely considering the ducal house, the responsibility of protecting this family is still too much for her. Gaia thought that perhaps this would be a good opportunity to see the lady's true capabilities. Soon, Gaia brought Elsa to the food supply store. Gaia explained that here in Icebelk, the winter is very long, and this is their most important issue to deal with. She said that the ducal house benefits from magic and can preserve many different foods, but the ordinary citizens cannot do so. Therefore, this castle must be prepared for emergencies. She elaborated that the previous duke, Lord Bert, would confirm changes in storage and winter problems by hiding his identity to privately visit the city. Elsa asked with curiosity why they could not build magical warehouses for storage inside the city. Gaia explained to her that this kind of advanced magic is much too difficult for the commoners to use. But that was not what Elsa wanted to ask. She wondered why the ducal house could not build magical warehouses in the city, thinking that from a financial perspective, it is not an impossible task. After hearing this, Gaia analyzed the ducal house's current position for Elsa. She explained that here, they have to comply with the Empire's rules to gain their recognition, so they cannot use magic for the citizens. She stated that protecting the ducal house also means protecting the Icebelk territory. She had heard Elsa was studying mythology, and advised her to please learn the details from the books. Gaia stole a quick glance at the disappointed Elsa. She was thinking to herself how it could be that the ducal house had not thought about this before. Gaia asked Elsa what they should do next. After thinking, Elsa was eager to try something. She said she could try making preserved foods, as there was already food available. She reasoned that as long as it does not require magic that is too advanced, perhaps it can be used widely by the people. On the first day, she was drying the marinated and salted fish. The non-picky Hugh gave it a perfect score. Wilbert, however, gave it a score of 0 points. On the second day of her experiment, Elsa handed them the newly fermented meat. This time around, even Hugh did not dare to eat it. The smell that it gave off was just like poison. The third day was the smoking stage of the process. Elsa personally completed every single step. The children also thoughtfully accompanied her. After trying again and again, they finally were able to achieve a very satisfactory success. They made fish and chips, using some of the magically dried cod. The two brothers ate with great enjoyment. They ate with great enjoyment, giving it a perfect score. Without any hesitation, the head chef and the others all gave it their unanimous praise. Elsa was so moved that she started to cry. Gaia also took a bite, and her face showed surprise. It was delicious. Elsa was completely overjoyed by their reactions to the food. She thought that even she was able to use this very basic magic. As long as someone knew a little magic, they should be able to do it too. She hoped that this way, it should not shake the ducal family's position. Seeing Elsa's series of continued efforts, Gaia finally smiled at her, saying that if it is like this, then it will definitely work. Elsa became even more motivated by this, and she was sure she could develop canned food next. Later in the afternoon, Gaia went to Rolf's office to give her report, and she saw that Rolf had been waiting there for a long time. The couple had been single for 18 years, yet they somehow had two very adorable sons. And although they slept together each time, nothing happened. In the morning, her husband would disappear without a trace, so it felt to her practically like she was sleeping all alone. But today was her very first report day since she had become Gaia's apprentice. She heard that Gaia entered Ralph's office today with a thick report. Elsa's hands were trembling with her nervousness. She thought that if Gaia reported every single thing in detail to Rolf, maybe he might forget all of the bad things. Just at that moment, there was a knock on the door, and a voice said, "Excuse me." Seeing Rolf arrive at her door, Elsa stood up, at a loss for words, and welcomed him. Rolf thanked her gently for the welcome. Then, the two of them sat down and drank tea, while she reported on today's many achievements. She has been researching preserved foods lately, and her studies of mythology and the birthday preparations were also going smoothly. Rolf nodded to acknowledge her work, telling her she had worked hard. Elsa was a bit surprised, and asked if that was all, and if there was nothing else. She asked if Gaia had reported to him as well, and if she had not said anything else about her. A moment ago, Gaia had indicated that she had not discovered any spy-like behavior coming from Elsa. Although she had some clumsy moments and shortcomings, she got along very well with the servants and the local people. Gaia considered her a woman with the qualities of a duchess. She believed Elsa could give Rolf enough support, and maybe even more. Rolf told Elsa that Gaia said that she works very hard. Upon hearing this, Elsa happily bloomed with a great deal of joy. Rolf added that Gaia also said to him that Elsa is somewhat clumsy at times. He continued, saying that he thinks she is really working hard. He wished he could apply magic to help society like she and his brother, Lord Bert, do. Rolf questioned the mention of his brother, as he suddenly remembered that he had never mentioned Lord Bert to Elsa before this moment. Elsa said it did not matter. When people showed that when mentioning the past, she knew the rumors about Rolf killing his brother were false. She patted her own chest, stating it is because she wants to understand a lot more about him. She said she would be happy to hear about whatever it is he wanted to share. Then Rolf decided to summon his powerful ice magic for her. He explained that the only kind of magic he can use is combat magic, which cannot be used to help other people. Elsa had a sudden flash of inspiration. She grasped Rolf's hand tightly and suggested that they try to do it together. Looking at the freshly made ice cream and shaved ice that was now on the table, Elsa excitedly rubbed her hands together in anticipation. After one bite, she was completely satisfied, exclaiming that it was really delicious. Elsa explained that this is shaved ice, called Agendaise, and it's the Empire's most popular dessert. Unlike dried foods, it is a high-end dessert with complex preparation, and it will be served at the birthday celebration. Seeing that Rolf still had a worried look on his face, she tentatively asked him what he was so concerned about. After she questioned him further, Rolf had to answer. He explained that his relatives can be a little difficult to deal with, and if the hospitality is not good enough, Many of them will express their dissatisfaction. He added that there were reasons for this. When they had their wedding, he was not able to invite his parents or relatives. He warned her that this party will be her very first meeting with them, and that they will probably look at her with very harsh eyes. Unexpectedly, Elsa was not discouraged by this news. She said thank you for worrying about her, and that she would find a way to better entertain all of them at the party. It was only then that Rolf finally showed a small smile. Elsa looked at the shaved ice, and suggested that since they had made this, they should let Wilbert and Hugh try it for tomorrow's afternoon tea. She was sure they would definitely be very happy. Rolf asked if they would. Elsa replied of course, as this is a dessert their beloved Uncle Rolf made himself. Elsa suddenly drew closer, which made Rolf, who already felt restless, feel even more uncomfortable now. Elsa said that using her magic he could make gifts for the children, and that it was all thanks to her, so she definitely deserved a reward for this. Elsa said that it was nothing at all, because they were married, after all, so there was no need for any kind of repayment. Rolf replied that it is precisely because they are married that they should have one. He explained that his brother, Lord Bert, and his wife often talked about rewards and gifts, and his father, Lord Stephen, would also say this to his mother, Lady Evelina, and give her gifts. Elsa smiled with a knowing look, realizing that this is how the Grand Duke's family interacts with one another. The slow-witted Rolf finally realized what she meant, agreeing that perhaps she was right about that. Elsa laughed and agreed, saying how wonderful it was. Rolf looked down at Elsa's smile and replied faintly, yes. Rolf asked if there was anything special that she wanted for her reward. Elsa could not think of any reward. She could only remember her childhood, when she asked her housekeeper, Marcia, to hold her. Rolf thought about her request for a hug. Elsa was about to explain that she was not necessarily asking him to do this, but halfway through her sentence, Rolf stood up and walked over to her, and he slowly reached his strong hands behind her back, gently embracing her, with his hair close to her ear. His fingertips were tinged with a faint reddish blush. At that moment, Elsa's mind went completely blank from the shock. The room became so quiet that only the sound of their heartbeats could be heard. Seeing her calling out his name in an incoherent way, Rolf thought that he was doing something wrong, so he simply wrapped his arms around her waist and lifted her up in a princess carry, and asked, how about this? Elsa was almost dying from her embarrassment. She wondered if he was going to keep trying over and over until he finally found the right reward for her. Elsa waved her arms in a helpless way, saying that was enough and that he had guessed correctly. Rolf breathed a deep sigh of relief, asking if it was really correct and saying that was truly great to hear. The moment their eyes met, Elsa could not help but feel her own heart start to flutter. Rolf gently put her back down on the floor. She quickly covered her wildly beating heart with her hands, thinking that was a Grand Duke family-style reward. She wondered if he would hug her just like this, when rewarding her in the future as well. She thought about how he had clearly told her not to have any romantic expectations of him, and wondered why he was doing this now. She wondered if this meant that he had finally accepted her, and from now on, they would act as a real husband and wife. Seeing Elsa's body heating up so much that she was almost steaming, Rolf casually said that it was getting late now, so they should go to sleep. Upon hearing him say this, Elsa froze in place. Rolf looked at her with a puzzled expression. After she came back to her senses, she quickly stood up from her chair, agreeing that he was right. Until Rolf fell asleep, she also kept tossing and turning, unable to sleep. She wondered what he was thinking and could not understand it at all. The next morning, the butler and the head maid, Gaia, urgently reported some news. They received a notice that Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina were on their way this morning and would arrive in the afternoon. Also, they received orders to subjugate a bandit group near the border village of Draga. The group was not very large, but to avoid affecting the birthday party, they should leave as soon as possible. This series of sudden news situations left Elsa feeling slow to react to them, so she confirmed the details with Rolf again. She summarized that today's additional emergency situations were to welcome his parents, welcoming Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina to the mansion, preparing for his mission, and entertaining Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina while he was away from home. Rolf answered yes. However, he was already used to preparing for a mission's execution, so she did not need to worry about that part. He told her that what she should consider right now is how to entertain his parents. He then had the butler give the prepared materials to Elsa, which included their preferences and things to note. Wilbert remembered that Lady Evelina loves to eat cod dishes. Elsa quickly took out her small notebook so she could write down that important information. Rolf added that ever since his mother took a bad fall, the doctor had told her to control her diet. He explained that the climate and the food there would put a big burden on her body, which is why they went to warmer places to recuperate. Elsa raised a question, asking what exactly Rolf was doing right now with all of that. He replied that he was preparing for the mission's execution. Elsa noted that there was too much luggage and some strange things. Rolf explained that if they took the main road, the bandits would discover them, and using flashy magic would not work. He said they had adopted much more primitive methods for this particular mission, taking the paths where no one ever goes, and as for their accommodation, they could only camp outside. Elsa asked if they would camp even in the middle of such a deep winter. Rolf said they worked for the good of the people, and they could not use the reserve food from villages on the way. Elsa felt heartache. She thought such a gentle person was called a war maniac and used by others. Although there were many things she did not know about, no matter the reasons, treating him this way was too unreasonable. Elsa told Rolf that he had always been protecting the people. She said that he had always been protecting the people of this territory all alone, and this family, and the children too. She continued that she, without knowing anything about it, had said such unreasonable things, and that she was so sorry. She told him to please focus on his mission with his subordinates, and to leave Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina to them. Wilbert and Hugh both said they would fully support Elsa, and the butler and Gaia also nodded their heads together in agreement. Rolf felt very relieved and said that he would leave it all up to them. Soon after that, everyone was busy preparing for the upcoming events. Elsa had just finished her preparations for the meal. She saw that Hugh was standing right at the door, and it seemed like he was waiting for her. She asked him what was wrong. Hugh whispered into her ear that he had a special request to ask of her. It was not long after that when the carriage finally arrived at the grand mansion, and everyone stood at the door to welcome them, saying in unison, "Welcome home, our distinguished guests." A rival in love has now come to pick a fight with her, but Elsa feels that she is too lazy to make a move against her. The confidence that was given to her by her husband and the children allows her to say at any time that she is Rolf's wife. Even when she was meeting her in-laws for the first time, Rolf tightly held his wife's hand while standing in front of her and said, "Welcome home." Elsa then curtsied, saying it was nice to meet them for the first time, and that she is Rolf's wife, Elsa. The in-laws, Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina, stared at her for a very long time. Then the two sons stepped forward and bowed at the same time, greeting their grandfather and grandmother and saying it had been a long time since they saw them. Hugh ran up to his grandmother, Lady Evelina, holding a letter for her in his small hands. His grandmother took the letter from his hands. She opened it up and saw a cute greeting card that was full of his sincere feelings. Lady Evelina looked at it and then smiled with a knowing expression. The two little boys looked up at her with an expectant expression, and she gently hugged the two children, telling them what a wonderful gift this was, and thanking them so much. Elsa then explained what was happening, starting with the topic of Rolf's birthday. She said that young Master Hugh had expressed that he wanted to welcome Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina with a special gift, so he had decided to hold a simple welcome banquet for them, and this was the official invitation. After she had finished speaking, she moved a little bit closer to Rolf. She told Rolf that this was for him, a sun amulet, and that she had made it for him together with the children. She explained that it was a little bit rough due to the time constraints, but it was filled with many good wishes and protective magic. She had also prepared some delicious dried goods for him and wanted to say some words to wish him a safe journey. Rolf directly took her hand in his and stared silently into her eyes. The two of them just looked at each other for a long moment, and just as Rolf was about to say something to her, he heard his mother, Lady Evelina, behind him, calling him to talk. A maid suddenly appeared to block Lady Evelina, and the children urgently reminded them all to go inside the mansion quickly. Elsa had to withdraw her hand from his, saying her hand would go in first. She told him to please stay safe on his mission, and to have a smooth journey. Elsa bowed to them all, and then she took her leave from the room, leaving them some time to catch up before Rolf had to leave. Rolf still stared at his nervous wife. He noticed that her hand was trembling. On the way back, Elsa was curious and wondered what Rolf had been trying to do just then. At this time, Hugh took her hand, and he took a deep breath, saying his heart was beating so fast right now. Elsa was also feeling equally nervous, but the beginning of the visit was not bad. Upon entering, she saw a red-haired woman eating pastries with big bites, with only crumbs left. The woman turned around and spoke to her, stating she had not seen her before now, and asking who she was. Elsa was also stunned by her, and was just about to ask who she was. Wilbert looked disgusted, and asked why she was there, uninvited again. The woman did not care, and remarked that it seemed quite lively there today. Wilbert tried to make her go away again, telling her Ralph was not there right now, and she should go back home quickly. The open malice in his voice made Elsa somewhat displeased. She thought that they were all relatives, and wondered if it was not too much to speak like that. The woman accused Wilbert of lying to her again and trying to ruin her relationship with Roddy. She declared that they both swore that they were going to get married, and asked why he was trying to separate them now. Elsa's pupils constricted in complete shock as she wondered if Roddy could be a nickname for Ralph. At that time, the in-laws, Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina, came in, noting that Miss Edna was there too. The woman, Edna, instantly changed her expression on her face and said it had been a long time, addressing Lord Stephen and Lady Evelina. Elsa was watching them all get along in a harmonious way. Elsa asked herself why she had never thought before that Ralph might have had someone that he liked. Lady Evelina asked who that lady was. Lord Stephen explained that she is Ralph's wife, previously arranged by the Emperor's decree. Elsa introduced herself in a proactive way, but Edna pushed the matter even further, exclaiming that this woman is a spy from the Empire. Elsa denied that it was not true, but Edna then became even more presumptuous with her words. Edna declared that a woman just like Elsa does not deserve the Grand Duke's family, and if Elsa cared at all for the Grand Duke's family, she should hide herself away. Wilbert immediately stood in front of his stepmother, Elsa, stating that Elsa is a member of the Grand Duke's family, and that she is their family. Elsa was so moved by his words that tears almost started to overflow from her eyes. Hugh also gripped her hand very tightly, nodding his head vigorously in agreement. The butler and the maids also nodded unanimously. This display surprised all three of them, as they were not expecting her to win over the hearts of the household so quickly. Elsa said she would reintroduce herself to them all, stating that she is Elsa, and she has married into the Icebelk Grand Duke's family. She continued that she did not know about Ralph's past or his feelings, but for things concerning him, she could simply ask him herself. She told Edna there was no need for her to worry herself about such things. Elsa stated she wanted to know what kind of woman would be worthy of this family, and she just needed to keep doing what she should do as Ralph's wife. Edna was left momentarily speechless by Elsa's confident words. Seeing her eager-to-learn expression, Edna suddenly became angry and asked if Elsa really took her for a fool. Lady Evelina interrupted her, saying that in that case, she would be the one to teach Elsa. Edna fell silent, smiling with malice. She thought Lady Evelina would make things much more difficult for Elsa, but unexpectedly, she accepted this new daughter-in-law of hers. The mother-in-law decided she would start teaching Elsa bridal courses after the party ended. Edna was now furious. And so, Edna quickly raised her hand so she could also participate in the lessons, challenging Elsa. She declared that she, an imperial woman, would show Elsa what kind of conduct befits the Grand Duke's family. But these words seemed to fall on deaf ears, as Elsa said to her that she was looking forward to it. Edna thought that Elsa was crazy, and that such a fool was actually Ralph's wife. She thought that she would never agree to it, and would drive her out. In piano class, Elsa is playing, and Wilbert suffered when singing. Hugh was also scared to tears. The rhythm was wrong, and she was off-key. Her dancing looked more like she was wrestling. Edna could not stand it anymore. She thought that Elsa is clearly a duke's wife, daughter. How can she be so bad at everything? Sending someone so useless shows they disrespect the Grand Duke's family. Elsa clenched her fist, agreeing completely. You are right. The woman was surprised. How can you possibly agree? Elsa admitted honestly. It is because I am truly not skilled at these things. The Empire was truly excessive, Lady Evelina said. The Empire's style of music is quite different from what we have here. Elsa should begin learning slowly, starting from the basics. Together with you, the young woman excitedly replied. Yes. Then Lady Evelina warned Edna, you still have not changed what I reminded you about previously. The woman hung her head sadly. I am truly sorry. I did not know Elsa would suddenly rise. But Miss Edna's dancing is so elegant and beautiful. Even as a woman, I was completely captivated. Edna immediately flushed from the compliment. Praising me is useless. Do you think you can make us lower our guard by acting innocent? You cannot fool me. Regardless of who this woman is, outsiders are not allowed to marry into the Grand Duke's family. The only person who can remain by Ralph's side is me, because I belong to the Grand Duke's family. During the next several days, Elsa learned together with Hugh. However, today Lady Evelina planned to teach her lace knitting. Surprisingly, Elsa showed exceptional talent in this specific skill. This made everyone curious. Have you learned how to knit this pattern before? Elsa casually avoided the question, saying she had seen it in a book. Then Lady Evelina looked toward Edna, only to see her needlework was quite messy. The woman covered her lace in shame. For the women in the Grand Duke's family, knowing needlework is very important. It is a skill to protect the men who fight desperately on the front lines. I have taught you many times since you were a child. The woman bowed her head deeply, saying, I'm sorry. Elsa smiled to encourage her. How about trying to knit lace with small flower patterns? But she did not throw her needlework at her. Be quiet! What are you doing? Are you this happy about making me look like a fool? Elsa explained it was not like that. She just felt very happy today. I am ashamed to admit it. Even though I was born into a duke's family, I never had the chance to learn etiquette and culture, nor did I ever attend social events. So I am simply happy to be able to attend these classes. Furthermore, I have not really spoken much with girls my own age, so this is how it feels to have female friends. It is just like that. Without realizing it, I forgot the reason for the classes. I'm sorry. Edna quickly covered her mouth, embarrassed, but still commanding. Do not apologize. Lady Evelina smiled at the scene. Female friends. How wonderful. Well then, we cannot avoid discussing romance now. Lady Evelina smiled in a mischievous way, and she issued an order for the two brothers who just entered to leave. I'm sorry. From this moment on, men are not allowed to enter. Go! All right, grandfather, come on. Let us begin our pleasant conversation. But this was not yet enough. By just snapping her fingers, the maids appeared instantly with Lady Evelina's command. The room was decorated until it sparkled brightly. It was the most beautiful room, with the most delicious food, the most amazing magic, and the most interesting topics about romance. It is perfect. Elsa was sweating, saying she had no experience. What kind of person does Miss Elsa like? Thick eyebrows and large eyes? Delicate features? Gentle? Strong? A muscular type? Or an intelligent type? So what do you think of Rolf? Elsa nervously swallowed. She remembered her past interactions with the Grand Duke, the warm moments when he was with the children, and the unexpected hug. Elsa instantly blushed and became flustered. I am not sure. Edna smiled smugly. Lady Evelina continued to ask, Is it because you were married just recently? She shook her head. Lord Rolf is very busy. We truly have not spent much time together. But every single day there are new discoveries about him. Before, Ralph's hair was sticking up, and I noticed his reaction was as cute as young Master Hugh's. Lady Evelina finally understood why her son had opened his heart to her. You observe things so carefully. Edna disagreed. If you want to put it that way, Rolf has opened his heart to me as well. We have been able to exchange our opinions freely for a long time. I have long known his hair is curly, and our hobbies are exactly the same. Lady Evelina agreed. Yes. You both love sweets very much, and you often argue like cats do. Elsa was extremely surprised. The Grand Duke likes sweets? Edna said. That is right. While he also likes fruit, what he truly loves most is sweet chocolate. The young woman could not understand. But why does he not eat them anymore? Edna showed her confusion. You do not even know this. Rolf really needs a clumsy woman from the Empire. Rather than that, then some fairy tale sweet romance. Lady Evelina spoke with meaning. Sweet romance. The Grand Duke truly does not need that, so I believe Miss Elsa can become a virtuous wife and a good mother for the Grand Duke's family. You do not love Rolf, do you? A love story like that. If it could come true, it would be fine, but in reality, love often creates trouble. You are simple and hardworking, yet untroubled by love, which is very charming. Elsa understood in her heart that she truly did not love the Grand Duke. But the more she understood him, the more she could see Ralph's good qualities. I want to understand him better. even if I am not worthy to be the Grand Duke's wife. Edna snorted. As for Rolf, even if his wife is useless, he is without a doubt the perfect Grand Duke. Who would have expected Elsa to suddenly cover her hand, lean in close to her face with excitement, and say, that's right, that's right. Lord Rolf is truly amazing. She continued on about many of his admirable actions. Edna was no longer being mean and gripped her hand. That is right. But what you currently know is not enough. Watching the two of them talk so peacefully, Lady Evelina smiled with relief. You do not have to carry everything by yourself anymore, do you, Rolf? Little did she realize that Elsa's words were all heard by Rolf from outside the door. When the tea time ended, Elsa stood up to open the door. By the time Rolf realized what was happening, it was too late. The moment the young woman turned her head, she saw him appear before her with a red face, and she stared at the Duke's slightly red face. She realized at once. You did not hear everything, did you? Ralph's ears were burning as he stubbornly said no, but he most certainly heard it. Mother called to Rolf from behind. Hearing the noise, Edna immediately squeezed over to Rolf. You are finally back! Elsa, in the corner, was frantically remembering. It is okay? It's okay. Those were all sincere compliments about him. It really does not matter if he heard them, but she still felt so embarrassed. Edna wanted to make an opportunity to be alone with Rolf, but she was rejected by him. I'm sorry, let us talk later. He turned to call for Elsa. Madam, I must write a report to submit to the Emperor immediately. Can you please compile the report for the time I was away by tonight? Elsa was going to refuse, but she suddenly met the Grand Duke's gaze, remembering the words he had said to her. Please, do not expect me to love you. It felt like a thorn piercing her heart. She gripped her own wrist tightly. No problem. I will have the materials summarized before tonight. She turned to Belle. Farewell to the two lovely ladies. She must become a member of this family and has to properly follow the rules here. Please wait. Is there something wrong with Lord Rolf? He then introduced her, his large hand holding her waist. This is my wife, Elsa. I am often away from home because of work. Please help her. As another member of the Grand Duke's family, Edna gripped her own arm tightly. Rolf is also really fine. The Grand Duke stated firmly. She is my wife. Then you should have introduced her earlier, as I think I am tearing up. We are family, aren't we? Elsa sparkled with excitement. That means Edna and I are family. To the Grand Duke's mother, she looked at her son. During the time she was not home, Rolf really became more and more like Lord Bert. He looked up at his mother. Thank you, Mother. That evening, Elsa excitedly showed Rolf the ballroom dancing that she had just learned. It appears I worried for nothing, so your Grace's work was completed smoothly. Then the atmosphere became silent once more. And then, is that everything? Oh, that's right, the dried goods. The soldiers liked them very much. That is good. Then there was silence again. Elsa was anxiously overthinking next to him. There must be more, right? There must be many other things. Turning her head, she saw the Grand Duke's hair was especially smooth today. Lord Rolf, did you take a bath? Yes, I did. Suddenly he thought of something and stood up immediately. I am very sorry. Do I still have a smell? I will sleep in another room tonight. Elsa quickly rushed over to grab his arm. No, it is because the Grand Duke's hair becomes especially smooth after bathing, as if it were specially combed. I have already warmed the bed. Please do not mind me, and get some rest first. Rolf looked at Elsa with tenderness. Then, let us have a warm drink before we rest. Elsa stood up quickly. I will go prepare it. Thank you then. Coffee, please. She suddenly thought of something and smiled as she responded. Rolf looked at the bedding that was neatly arranged. His ideal wife would simply handle work matters without any emotion. While he did not need to be wary of his wife, she was meddlesome and clumsy, completely the opposite of his ideal type. He gently touched his hair, and then he messed it up. Sorry for the long wait. The scent of hot cocoa came from a distance. Rolf did not understand why, because Lord Rolf likes it. She had shouted very loudly. So I truly wanted to drink some hot cocoa. I wanted to know what your favorite kind of hot cocoa tastes like. He looked at the drink that was on the plate. I prefer to drink coffee. Elsa did not understand. Then why do you always drink hot cocoa? Even though the head chef's voice was very quiet, she definitely would not have misheard him. Lord Bert also used to enjoy beer and coffee, and he did not like vegetables. Why would Ralph tell a lie? The atmosphere in the room became silent for a little while, until the hot cocoa turned cold. Cocoa. Wait, let me heat it up again. She turned and handed it over to Ralph. He finally drank the cup of warm hot cocoa. It's so sweet. Is it too sweet for you? No, it is delicious. I used to drink even sweeter ones. I would add plenty of fresh milk and honey, then season it with some spices. The studious Elsa was already taking notes. This one just has a slightly more refreshing fragrance. To warm the body, I added some orange and rum. This combination is very much like Elsa's flavor. What does that kind of flavor feel like? It's very energetic. Warm? Then I will break convention. Ralph could not help but take another sip. I really like it. Elsa's face instantly exploded with a deep red. She hurried to try and make him another cup. But when you are busy, it is easy to make mistakes. Her feet slipped, and she fell into the Grand Duke's warm and strong embrace. Her heart could not help but begin to race. Even the cocoa seemed enchanted. It would be terrible if you got burned. And this is the cocoa that you made for me? He broke off the end of the chocolate piece and put it into his mouth. It's delicious, even when it's cold. Elsa's head was steaming. If we go to sleep too late, we will not be able to get up tomorrow. Let's rest after we finish drinking. Elsa nodded with a very red face. She was still wondering how she could possibly fall asleep after so much had happened. But in the very next moment, she closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Even while sleeping, she mumbled Ralph's name. The Grand Duke turned to look at his wife beside him and gently covered her with the blanket. He remembered the conversation from that afternoon. Lord Ralph is truly an amazing person. Then he turned over to sleep with a red face. When Elsa woke up in the morning, she looked very tired. She pinched her face to force herself to wake up. Wait, Elsa? Edna smiled mischievously. You are not planning to use this in the main hall, are you? That goes in the entrance hall. If you add this here and that there, would this not be perfect? Elsa excitedly held the newly made decoration. This is just as I expected from Miss Edna. She proudly waved the small fan in her hand. For this celebration, Hugh has been working very hard to speak properly. And the older brother has been trying his best to eat his vegetables. Speaking of that, how is your preparation for the most important welcome performance? I do not think I have actually seen your magic yet. Elsa was sweating profusely as Edna narrowed her eyes at her. You can do it, right? Elsa stayed silent, just taking out a magic enhancement potion and drinking in big gulps while using all her strength. She only managed to create a small sparkle. No way. I truly tried my very best. We knew that this would happen. I have already thought of a brilliant plan for you. The day before the birthday celebration, to help Elsa improve her magic power, the older brother and Hugh had a brilliant plan they called cramming at the last minute. From the head chef to the maids, everyone gathered there. The older brother became a little teacher, telling her to stretch out her hand. Suddenly, in the next second, a huge flame ignited in her palm. Little did they know, the head chef was secretly using his power. From the side, we will have everyone use magic, so that visually it will look just like Elsa's magic. The older brother's expression was stiff. This is the only way. Elsa could not believe it. So we are going to deceive people, but this will be discovered very quickly. Edna agreed. Yes. No kidding. It truly will be exposed. Do that same motion again. Unfortunately, this time the flame fell right from her palm. You see, even her posture for using magic is clumsy. The children were very discouraged. Furthermore, the magic that nobles excel at is concealment magic, which is completely different from the life magic that the servants use. The elder brother cried out, asking what they should do. The scene became chaotic for a little while. She had been trying very hard since her childhood, but no matter what, she could not learn magic. She had also received invitations to banquets in the past, and had asked her stepmother to let her go, but her sister mocked her coldly from the side. As long as you can learn magic, I will let you go. Right, mother? That is right, as long as you can learn it. For the next several days, whether walking, eating, or even sleeping, she continued to practice hard. Finally, until one day, small sparkles of light appeared in her hands. I did it! She happily went to show her mother. Her stepmother's face initially showed a look of shock, then it instantly changed to a look of disgust. Sister, actually, there is no such vulgar magic. I feel so ashamed. I just want to die. Poor Karen. I will never allow you to feel ashamed. The maids laughed at her without hiding it. Elsa stood sadly by the window, watching the carriage that was about to leave for the banquet. Her heart was tormented and felt dejected. Now she could not give up. Please let me see everyone's magic and let me practice for a while longer. Everyone suddenly teleported, as if they had been waiting for her to say exactly this. The small flowers that were falling from the sky were truly beautiful. And there was the head chef's perfect posture and Edna's gorgeous gems. After it all ended, she slumped, exhausted, on the sofa. Edna couldn't help but complain. You are already out of energy. Your stamina is too poor. There is no way to help it. Elsa is very bad at magic. Although the older brother intended to speak up for Elsa, his words made her feel a little guilty. I forced everyone to practice with me, but I did not make any progress at all. I'm sorry. There is no need to apologize. Elsa is a member of our family. Helping you is natural. You always say that. After speaking, the older brother embarrassingly turned his face away. Everyone else nodded their heads in agreement. Elsa just stood right there, feeling a bit bewildered. Hugh patted her hand. It is not a waste of time. Thanks to Elsa, I have learned many things. She remembered her childhood self, always hiding alone in corners. She felt so grateful and happy. The young woman hugged him back. Thank you. They opened their arms. The older brother, come here for a hug too. I really cannot handle you two, even though we cannot see obvious progress right now. Your continued effort will certainly not be wasted. Elsa suddenly thought of something. That is right. There will definitely be things that only she can do in the future. It was late at night. Since the birthday celebration was the next day, Elsa was too nervous to fall asleep. She might as well practice her dancing. Just as she stretched out her hand, she noticed a dark shadow behind her. My lady, it is so late. What are you doing? She happily turned around. I am practicing my dancing. Suddenly thinking of something, she became flustered. I am definitely not doing any spy activities. Rolf indicated that was not what he meant. If you are preparing for tomorrow, you should be resting now. Can't you sleep? Elsa gripped her hands tightly. I just feel uneasy for some reason. For dance practice, you will need a partner. I will help you. Elsa looked surprised. She was about to say something, but the Grand Duke did not give her a chance to refuse. After all, I am your husband. The young woman's heart immediately started pounding. Then I will trouble you. The man embraced her slender waist, gliding along with the melody. He patiently guided his wife step by step, even when she could not control her movements, and swayed around. He would embrace her waist at the right time. The young woman blushed. I'm sorry. I tried my best not to step on your feet, the man said. It is fine. That is exactly why we need to practice. Your Highness, you also dance very well. I do not dislike physical activity, and Edna often makes me practice dancing with her. Elsa felt a ripple in her heart. Early the next morning, they started dressing up. By the way, Elsa, you don't love Rolf, do you? She immediately became very sensitive. Don't you worry. I do not love Rolf either. After all, we belong to the same Grand Duke family and are of the same generation. The Grand Duke family is quite a special case. Anyway, could it be that you are wary of me? Elsa denied it. If I said that I completely do not care, that would be a lie. But it is not wariness either. What is love then, instead? They were both stunned. You do not even know this yet. You dare to contradict Lady Evelina, as she trembled with anger and could not help but strike her a few times. You fool, do not ask me about such things. As a child, Elsa had a vague longing for family and love. Perhaps it was because of this, that when other people told her, do not expect romance, you do not need love, she would feel a bit lonely. But ever since she came to the Grand Duke's house, she has truly felt happy every single day. She did not want to destroy this happiness, so she wanted even more to become a qualified Grand Duchess, even if it was without love. Reflecting on the previous night, she said, Thanks to your grace, I have improved quite a bit. Rolf smiled unconsciously. That is good. Lord Rolf is truly amazing. I originally thought that you were scary, but you are both gentle and capable. You are the most wonderful Grand Duke. The Grand Duke suddenly raised his arm, and her shawl quietly slipped off. Sorry, are you all right now? Seeing the change in the Grand Duke's expression, Elsa remembered that day, and then seriously straightened her face to explain the sweet words she and Edna had excitedly spoken. Please rest assured, those were not feelings of admiration. Rolf looked stunned, and his expression became very deep for a moment. Is that so? He bent down to pick up the shawl and draped it over his wife. Elsa smiled brightly. Thank you. You are too kind. The midnight bells chimed, and the two of them planned to return to their own rooms to get some rest. Well then, good night. Yes. Good night. As they were preparing to leave, Elsa suddenly turned back around. Please wait. She gently embraced Rolf's arm. The bells just chimed, didn't they? Lord Rolf, happy birthday! And at this exact moment, Rolf could no longer suppress his rapidly beating heart. Elsa looks at him with loving eyes, and he seems a little surprised to see her. He feels so relieved she is there, he quietly says, Thank God. As she gently takes his arm, he looks startled by her touch. Elsa smiles brightly, telling him she just wanted to say that. The Duke looks down with a serious face and thanks her for her care. Standing at the top of the stairs, he tells her he will see her soon. Elsa watches him leave with a happy smile, excited for what's to come. She clenches her fist, feeling determined that tomorrow, everything will go well. The Duke stands alone in a dark and snowy place, just waiting. The thought of Elsa makes him blush and feel all fluttery inside. Later, fancy carriages begin to arrive outside the grand mansion in the snow. Wilbert and Hugh peek out the window, excited that the guests are coming. Wilbert talks about the party, while little Hugh holds his toy and looks nervous. Wilbert is so tired from waiting that he lets out a huge yawn as the maids watch. The boys wonder why it's still dark, but someone reminds them that it's almost time. They peek into the dark room, waiting for the celebration to begin. They open the door to see their mother, Elsa, standing there, ready for the party. The boys stare down from the doorway, completely amazed by how Elsa looks. Their little faces turn bright red as they see how beautiful she is. Elsa asks them nervously if she looks okay for the big party. Wilbur gets shy and stammers that she looks fine. Hugh is so happy he runs and buries his face in his mother's pretty dress. Hugh looks up with big, sparkling eyes and tells Elsa that she is beautiful, and he likes it. Hugh's sweet compliment makes his mother and her maid totally freak out with joy. Wilbert asks his little brother if they should try something together. Elsa smiles and asks Lord Wilbert what he thinks. Wilbert is too embarrassed to say anything, so he just puffs his cheeks and blushes. He gets flustered and stomps ahead, yelling for everyone to go already. Downstairs, the huge ballroom is already filled with elegantly dressed guests. A friendly-looking man named Lord Stefan arrives to congratulate the family. The grandfather tells another guest that his brother is now 26 years old. Someone in the crowd points out that another important guest, Lord Breda, has arrived. Lord Breda looks around with a serious face, taking in the whole scene. A group of men gather together to congratulate their brother on the special day. The grumpy man, Benedict, greets the host with a sneaky-looking smile. Two other guests whisper to each other, wondering if the host's wife will show up. The grumpy lord asks with a sly grin what everyone thinks about the new wife. The host's parents look very annoyed to hear people gossiping. He brags that his family is known for its incredible and powerful magic. He continues that he is very curious to see what the new wife is capable of. Another guest agrees, saying she is also interested to see the wife's skills. The lord smirks and says that he has also heard some rumors. A maid remembers a time when Elsa was not a noble at all. The parents of the host give the gossiping guests a very angry look. Hugh is so shocked by the mean words that he drops his stuffed animal. His favorite toy goes tumbling all the way down the fancy staircase. Hugh looks sadly from the top of the stairs as his toy lies on the floor. The grumpy lord walks up to little Hugh and says he's grown so much. He rudely teases Hugh, remembering a time when the boy couldn't even talk. Hugh's grandparents look absolutely furious that the man would say something so cruel. But Hugh just smiles sweetly, holding his stuffed animal happily. The lord's partner scolds the mean man, asking how he could dare say such bad things to a child. A beautiful magic light suddenly glows from Hugh's hand as he welcomes everyone. Hugh is lifted into the air by a swirl of magic, shouting a welcome to their celebration. Lord Breda and his wife look completely stunned by Hugh's magic. The man is so shocked that he screams in disbelief. A voice from the crowd wonders how this could have possibly happened. Lord's wife just smirks, looking completely unimpressed by the magical display. Wilbert watches as his brother's magic transforms the entire ballroom into a world of ice. A glowing snowflake pattern appears on Wilbert's hand as he feels the powerful magic. Hugh's magic begins to tell a story about a great hero who sealed a dragon. The magic shows a vision of their ancestor, the first Grand Duke of Iceberg, Deepening. Lord Breda and the other guests are shocked to find themselves standing inside the magical story. The Duke's father proudly recognizes the amazing vision as the history of their family. Wilbert reaches out to the magical vision, feeling the great power passed down through generations. The magic continues to show different amazing moments from the family's long and powerful history. The vision then shows the current Duke, looking very proud and strong. Suddenly, the magical story shows maids tossing special confetti from buckets into the air. Brown ribbons of magic begin to swirl through the air, all around the guests. The guests look up in delight, as they realize the air smells like delicious chocolate. The magical vision of the Duke is now surrounded by the swirling chocolate streams. The show ends with a vision of the whole family together, welcoming everyone to the Iceberg estate. After the magical show, chefs and maids bring out trays and trays of amazing-looking food. The magical ice ballroom has now transformed into a beautiful dining hall for the feast. A little girl at a table thinks the food looks yummy, but she seems a little hesitant to eat. Wilbert kindly encourages the nervous little girl, telling her to just try it bit by bit. He holds out a spoonful of food for her, waiting patiently for her to take a bite. He takes a bite himself and smiles, showing her that it is delicious and safe to eat. Elsa and the Duke proudly watch their son being so kind and thoughtful to the other children. Wilbert explains to everyone that the chefs cut everything finely to make it easier for the children to eat. Little Hugh happily brings a plate of the special food over to a guest. He offers it to Grandma, who thanks him but says she cannot eat because she is sick. She then rudely points out that there is no salt on the food. Elsa and the chef proudly explain they made special dishes just for her, so she could enjoy them too. Both grandparents were completely shocked by this thoughtful gesture. Hugh does not give up, and with a big smile he invites her to eat together. Her heart melts from his kindness, and she smiles warmly, telling Hugh that she would love that. Elsa smiles, watching her son bring so much joy and happiness to the party. The grandfather looks on with a very proud and satisfied little smile. Elsa turns her head suddenly, sensing that someone is watching her. Lord Breda interrupts, holding a glass of wine and asking Elsa when they can see her performance. Elsa looks confused, thinking the magical show was supposed to be the grand ending. Lord Breda mocks her, saying the beautiful scenes were just a trick, and that she has done nothing at all. Lord Breda mocks her, saying the beautiful scenes were just a trick, and that she has done nothing at all. In his anger, Lord Breda accidentally spills his glass of dark red wine. The wine splashes all over the front of Elsa's beautiful, light-colored dress. Everyone, especially the Duke and the boys, looks horrified and angry at what just happened. Elsa quickly puts a protective hand in front of his sons and stops them. She remains calm, looks at the stain, and then assures everyone that everything is in order. She calmly touches her necklace and then the flower corsage on her dress. With a small click, she activates a hidden button on the beautiful corsage. She smiles confidently at the shocked guests and announces that she will now show them her performance. Lord Benedict looks at Elsa, questioning her about her performance. He sneers, thinking to himself that her announcement was a bit exaggerated. The Duke's family watches him, as Lord Benedict thinks she only had a minimal part at most. Elsa gracefully walks towards the center of the room, ignoring his rude thoughts. She stops and lifts her hands, and the entire room goes quiet with anticipation. She stands before a giant round chocolate sphere with a pretty brown bow on top. With a gentle and graceful touch, she uses her magic on the giant chocolate ball. The chocolate magically melts away, revealing a wonderful surprise hidden inside. A magnificent, multi-layered frozen chocolate special cake is unveiled, decorated with cute white bears and snowflakes. The guests are absolutely amazed by the surprise, exclaiming how incredible and amazing it is. Elsa proudly takes a piece of the beautiful cake she has just revealed to everyone. She approaches the little girl from before, telling her that she ate all her vegetables. Elsa offers the girl a beautifully decorated slice of cake as her special reward. The little girl's eyes light up with joy, exclaiming how pretty the cake is. She takes a big, happy bite of the delicious-looking cake. With a huge, happy smile, she thanks the big sister for the very tasty treat. Elsa smiles with happiness, saying she is glad the little girl liked it. Elsa reveals a secret to the little girl, telling her that the cake was actually prepared by His Excellency. The girl's parents are completely shocked and ask if it is true that the Duke made the cake. Elsa smiles and adds that the chocolate they saw was made by the hardworking staff of the estate. Wilbert and Hugh look on as Elsa explains that it is true she could not do anything on her own. She gives credit to all the staff, saying it was thanks to the strength she borrowed from their people. Standing in the middle of the ballroom, she vows to continue to protect this home with the help of its people. She places a hand on her heart, stating firmly that this is what she is going to do. Elsa bows gracefully to all the guests, asking them to please give her their strength. The guests are moved by her sincere words and watch her with respect. A pair of hands is seen starting the applause for her wonderful speech. The Duke father and his mother start clapping, looking very proud of Elsa. The Duke's mother smiles warmly, clearly touched by Elsa's heartfelt words. They both continue to lead the round of applause. Lord Benedict just stands there with his arms crossed, looking very angry and not clapping. He glares down at Elsa, who is now standing right in front of him. Elsa smiles kindly at him, admitting that she knows she is still a greenhorn. She addresses Lord Benedict by name and cheerfully asks for his cooperation. Lord Benedict just grits his teeth in silent anger, not saying a single word. The boys, Wilbert and Hugh, bravely step forward to stand in front of their mother. The whole family stands together, staring down Lord Benedict with serious, protective expressions. Seeing this, Lord Benedict starts to sweat, feeling nervous under the pressure from the family's powerful glare. Elsa looks at his wife with a confused expression, asking about Lord Benedict. His wife, Lady Idona, nervously tells Elsa to just do her best. Lady Idona thinks to herself that her husband's behavior is not worthy of the iceberg name, and is a total shame. She tries to calm her furious husband down, but he is still fuming. She turns to Elsa and whispers an apology, explaining that her father. Lady Idona is horrified, recalling that her father was just as rude during their first meeting. Elsa gently places a finger on Lady Idona's lips to quiet her. Elsa kindly tells her that she is not going to accept her apologies, which completely surprises Lady Idona. She explains that Lady Idona has actually helped her a lot so far. She takes Lady Idona's hands and thanks her very much with a warm, genuine smile. Lady Idona is so touched by Elsa's unexpected kindness that a tear forms in her eye. Overwhelmed with emotion, she exclaims that she should be the one saying that and gives Elsa a huge hug. Little Hugh sees the hug and happily runs to join in, wrapping his arms around them both. Hugh turns and gives his older brother Wilbert a knowing little look. The boys realize this is their chance to show everyone what a close-knitted family they are. Both Wilbert and Hugh run and join the big group hug with their mother and Lady Idona. The boys snuggle close, telling Elsa thank you and that they love her. The other ladies at the party watch the heartwarming scene and laugh about how close they all are. The Duke's parents watch the sweet moment with warm and happy smiles on their faces. The chef and all the staff look on from the side, filled with pride and joy for the family. A guest looks around the ballroom and wonders out loud where Lord Royal is. Meanwhile, Lord Benedict storms off in a rage, muttering angrily that everyone is defending her. He glares back at Elsa, thinking that Brad is not good enough for the Grand Duchy. He worries about what will happen next time if things continue at this rate. But he smashes against someone in his pure frustration and anger walk. As he turns to leave, he bumps hard into someone and rudely tells them to watch where they are going. He looks up and is completely shocked by who he just ran into. He finds himself standing face to face with the very tall, serious, and intimidating Duke. Lord Benedict nervously asks the Duke why he is there. The Duke calmly asks why he is asking such a question. A powerful magic glows at the Duke's feet as he asks who Lord Benedict is trying to offend. Lord Benedict stammers that he just thinks Elsa is risky. The Duke's voice turns icy as he declares that Elsa is his wife, the Grand Duchess of Iceberg. His eyes glow with a chilling power as he stares his uncle down. The Duke's magic swirls around him, and Lord Benedict asks in fear what is happening. Lord Benedict covers his face with his hands, completely terrified of the Duke's power. The Duke tells him that if he abandons the family, He can finally escape the curse that he is so afraid of. Lord Benedict stands up straight, a bit shocked on his face. He looks completely shocked by the Duke's surprising offer. He suddenly drops to one knee and declares that he is not afraid at all, and is proudly fulfilling his duties. The Duke watches him with a cold, calculating look. The Duke remembers Elsa's kind words, asking Lord Benedict for his cooperation. He thinks about her request for a moment. With a small, decisive flick of his hand, he withdraws his magical pressure. He tells Lord Benedict to reflect on his attitude for the time being. Meanwhile, the party continues cheerfully, with Elsa and the children happily serving cake to the guests. From a distance, the Duke watches his family joyfully interacting with everyone. The Duke's parents wonder where Lord Royal is, noting his usual dislike for celebrations. The former Duke looks pensive, thinking to himself that it is not yet the right time. The noble ladies at the party continue to enjoy the pleasant and lively atmosphere. The Duke's mother confidently tells her husband that Lord Royal will be back soon. She smiles with a knowing expression, looking very pleased with the evening's events. She takes a delicate bite of the cake, closing her eyes in satisfaction. The former Duke watches his wife fondly, thinking with a smirk that she has already been charmed by Elsa. He reflects on how Hugh got his voice back, and how Wilbert has grown attached to Elsa. His thoughts turn to his other son, Royal, as he takes a bite of the decorative cake. He finds the cake sweet, but trusts his sharp instincts, which tell him there is more going on. Suddenly, a man named Lord Royal approaches the Duke, requesting a moment for a private chat. As they stand near Elsa, Lord Royal's gloved hand brushes very close to hers. Royal and his wife look at the Duke, clearly expecting him to agree to their request. Elsa blushes, looking a bit nervous, while the Duke stands protectively beside her. The Duke maintains a neutral expression and asks his brother what he wants to discuss. Royal's wife says that according to reports, the Duke and Elsa seem to be getting along well. The Duke replies that Elsa is not the first person to have come from the Empire. Royal clarifies that the previous woman, Clara, had a very different role and experience than Elsa. His wife points out the Duke's guarded nature, and that his trust in Elsa is surprising. She smiles charmingly, and asks if she has gotten the wrong impression about their relationship. The Duke turns his head slightly, admitting quietly that it is true he relies on her. He faces Royal directly, declaring he is ready to face any difficulties to protect the family name. Lord Royal looks down at his slice of cake, deep in complex thought. He silently wonders if the Duke would answer honestly if he were to ask a truly difficult question. The children at the party are happy, shouting that the cake melts in their mouths and they want more. Lady Evelina gently asks the children to calm down, while another guest apologizes for the noise. Lady Evelina smiles kindly, saying she doesn't mind the noise and finds it fun. The former Duke watches her kind interaction with the children with a thoughtful look. He decides with a playful glint in his eye that he must find out the recipe for the cake. His wife laughs and says she'll be relying on him, which shocks the nearby guests. Elsa turns, surprised but pleased to hear their happy and informal conversation. The former Duke turns to Elsa and compliments her on a wonderful celebration. Flustered, Elsa tells him she is glad that he is enjoying himself. The current Duke watches his father's easy interaction with Elsa with a serious expression. He continues to watch them silently, observing the new family dynamic. The former Duke gives Elsa another charming smile, showing his genuine approval. He announces that the food was great, and he would now like to use that energy. He then shocks everyone by asking Elsa for a dance. The Duke is left completely speechless by his father's bizarre public request. Elsa is equally shocked, her eyes wide with disbelief, and the former Duke just smiles mischievously, clearly enjoying the chaos he has created. Elsa looks up in surprise as the former Duke holds his hand out, inviting her to dance. She starts to sweat, stammering in disbelief at the completely unexpected offer. The children, Wilbert and Hugh, watch with wide-eyed shock, and Hugh silently wonders if she should do it. The former Duke maintains his charming smile, thinking to himself that he never expected to ask her for a dance. Elsa clasps her hands together nervously, her mind racing as she hesitates for a moment. She has a quick flashback to herself, struggling to learn the proper dance steps with a tutor. A happier memory follows, showing her practicing with the Duke, and she thinks she has been training for this very moment. With newfound confidence, she takes a breath and places her hand gently into the former Duke's. She smiles brightly at him and accepts his offer with pleasure. He graciously leads her onto the grand dance floor as the other guests watch. The orchestra conductor raises his baton, signaling the musicians to begin playing a waltz. Elsa's sparkling shoes glide across the floor as she takes her first steps into the dance. They waltz together gracefully, looking like a very elegant and well-matched dance pair. From the sidelines, the current Duke watches them, his expression partially hidden. He smiles faintly as he remembers Elsa as a happy child, thinking to himself that she is doing well so far. Elsa is laughing with pure joy as she dances, clearly having a wonderful time. The Duke continues to watch them from a distance, his expression becoming more thoughtful. He thinks about how his father is the one with the greatest power, and if he accepts Elsa, no one else can object. A strange tightness fills his chest, and he silently wonders why he is feeling this way. He thinks about how quickly Elsa is growing, and always looking forward with such determination. He remembers her bright, happy smile from earlier that evening. He feels a sudden sense of inadequacy, believing he is never going to catch up to his brother. His gaze returns to the dance floor, where his father and Elsa continue to glide gracefully. Suddenly, his son Wilbert takes a determined step forward from the edge of the crowd. The Duke notices Wilbert walking onto the dance floor. Wilbert bravely walks up and stands right in front of his mother and grandfather. He holds out his small hand, palm up, in a formal gesture. He politely asks his mother, "My lady," if he can have the next dance with her. Elsa is completely surprised and touched by his sweet gesture, while the former Duke looks on with a proud smile. With a huge, happy smile, she tells her son that of course, she will dance with him. She smiles at Wilbert as he formally takes her hand. The former Duke smiles proudly as he watches them, then bows to Elsa. He thanks her sincerely for the wonderful time they shared dancing. Elsa replies likewise and says they should do it again sometime, and he happily agrees. She remembers her promise and turns to the former Duke to talk about the cake recipe. With a cheerful smile, she gestures towards the current Duke, explaining it's better to ask His Excellency. The former Duke looks amused and thanks her for her helpful suggestion. Wilbert looks down shyly, his face a little red as he begins to dance with his mother. Elsa smiles down at him and says she did not expect him to invite her for a dance. Wilbert mumbled that she is getting too relaxed around everyone. Elsa just laughs and thanks him, but he insists that it was not meant as a compliment. She then asks him why he wanted to dance with her if that was the case. Caught off guard, Wilbert stumbles over his feet, completely flustered by her direct question. She quickly steadies him and asks with a kind and concerned smile if everything is okay. He looks away, his cheeks bright red, and quietly answers yes. They continue to dance together gracefully as the music plays on. Elsa looks down at her son, who seems to be thinking very hard about something. His face is completely red with blush as he hesitates to speak his mind. He finally takes a deep breath and looks directly up at her. He shyly adds that he was not able to say it to her in the morning, which makes Elsa blush deeply. Completely flustered after his confession, he shouts, "That is all he wanted to say," and quickly runs away. Elsa is left giggling at his adorable shyness, while little Hugh watches his brother's hasty retreat. Hugh then runs up to his mother, who is still laughing and wiping away a happy tear. He holds out his own little hand, and cheerfully asks her to please have a dance with him too. Elsa is so overcome with love and happiness from her sons, that she begins to cry tears of pure joy. She immediately accepts with great pleasure, and pinches his cheek affectionately. Hugh is a bit too short to waltz properly, so he just hops up and down with excitement. Elsa gets a wonderful idea, and suggests they could dance to the special song she practiced with him. The orchestra conductor smiles and signals for the musicians to play a more upbeat tune. Elsa takes Hugh's hand and leads him in a happy, bouncy dance across the floor. They dance together joyfully, with musical notes swirling all around them. Both mother and son are laughing, having the time of their lives together. The other guests, especially the children, watch them with happy and captivated expressions. Elsa addresses the crowd, declaring that today is a celebration and everyone should dance happily together. The Duke watches this heartwarming scene unfold, his expression still very serious and thoughtful. The former Duke is also watching, a clever, thoughtful look on his face as he touches his chin. Meanwhile, Lady Idona walks up to the Duke, seemingly to ask him for a dance. He turns to her and says to excuse him, that he can't dance with her. She looks annoyed by his blunt refusal and tells him not to be so self-centered. He clarifies that he does not want to dance with her, but would rather dance with Elsa. He points out that it is a unique celebration, where even the children are dancing freely. He reasons that there should be no issue with two ladies dancing together. Lady Idona seems to consider his point for a moment, then nods in agreement. The Duke takes her hand and tells her she can dance with Elsa, but only after he does. Wilbert watches from the sidelines as his mother Elsa and little brother Hugh are surrounded by other happy, dancing children. Elsa looks over her shoulder with a radiant smile and calls out to the Duke, addressing him as Lord Royal. He walks onto the dance floor, kneels slightly, and holds out his hand, formally asking Elsa, "May I have this dance?" Elsa looks down at his outstretched hand, her eyes wide with surprise at his sudden and public invitation. She gently places her hand in his, her expression soft, as she quietly accepts his offer. He leads her to the center of the grand, star-patterned dance floor, as the other guests watch on. They begin to waltz together, their movements graceful and perfectly in sync with one another. The beautiful fabric of Elsa's beautiful dress shimmers and flows as they glide across the floor. In a stunning and romantic move, the Duke dips Elsa low, holding her securely in his arms. He looks down at her with a gentle expression and tells her that she is absolutely wonderful. Blushing slightly, Elsa smiles back at him and says that it is all thanks to him, my lord. The Duke encourages her to look around them, pointing out that everyone in the ballroom is admiring her. She glances out at the crowd of guests, her expression a mix of surprise and shy disbelief. In the crowd, the household staff, along with Wilbert and Hugh, watch them with incredibly proud and happy faces. The former Duke and his wife also watch the couple dance, sharing knowing and deeply pleased smiles. Lady Idona and the other noble ladies look on with expressions of genuine admiration and approval. A look of quiet determination appears in Elsa's eyes as she realizes that after this, no one will dare to belittle her. The Duke leans in and tells her that she is now officially recognized as the Grand Duke's wife. Overwhelmed with emotion, Elsa's cheeks flush as she whispers, "Your Excellency." Tears of pure joy well up in her eyes as she looks at him and thanks him so much for everything. He holds her hand gently and gives her a soft, reassuring smile in return. As the dance comes to an end, Elsa gracefully twirls away from him across the sparkling floor. She looks back at him over her shoulder, her expression still full of happy surprise. He tells her that he has something he would like to say to her as well. He looks at her with sincere eyes and tells her that she is a wonderful person. He gently holds her hand in both of his thumb stroking hers in a tender gesture. Elsa tells him that at times he tries so hard to be a great Grand Duke, while at other times he is so gentle and kind. She holds his hand tightly, looking up at him with sincere eyes, as she tells him her feelings. With a bright, genuine smile, she says she is glad that he is the Grand Duke and that she is his dear spouse. The Duke looks at her, completely stunned and visibly touched by her heartfelt confession. He admits that he is bad when it comes to expressing his own feelings. Turning his back slightly in a moment of shyness, he sincerely thanks her very much. Looking at her with a warm and genuine expression, he tells her that he is also glad. Elsa is surprised by his sudden affectionate words and calls out his name. In a romantic gesture, the Duke pulls her close, their faces now just inches apart. He then surprises everyone by lifting her up in a sweeping, graceful motion, telling her it is her reward for all her hard work. The Duke's sons, Wilbert and Hugh, look on from the sidelines with their mouths wide open in complete shock. Elsa's sparkling shoes lift off the floor as he holds her effortlessly in his arms. The guests, led by the former Duke and his wife, burst into enthusiastic applause for the couple. As the party ends, the guests happily tell Elsa it was a wonderful celebration and invite her to visit their homes. Elsa smiles, genuinely happy to see that everyone enjoyed themselves so much during the evening. Guests approach the Duke to wish him a happy birthday and present him with beautifully wrapped gifts. They apologize for the gifts being late, but the Duke graciously accepts them all with gratitude. From a balcony, Elsa looks out at the grand hall, which is now quiet after all the guests have left. She sees a long table that is now completely filled with an enormous pile of presents for the Duke. Elsa smiles to herself, thinking that while taking care of the gifts will be hard work, it shows how much people admire His Excellency. She notices the Duke, his father, and Lord Royal are having a serious conversation. The former Duke informs Elsa that she has passed the evaluation, and he will now be trusting her with the home and the children. The Duke then turns to Elsa, and asks her what she would like as a gift for her success. The former Duke reminds her about their family's important gift-giving tradition. The Duke's mother explains they want to show their appreciation, especially since Elsa did not have a proper wedding. The former Duke adds that it is also a reward for her officially passing the family's evaluation. The mother kindly asks Elsa to please tell them what she likes, since they don't yet know her personal tastes. The Duke states firmly that she should accept a personal gift from each one of them. Elsa is completely overwhelmed by their generosity, stammering in shock as she asks if it was from each one of them.